Well, here we are, folks. We are back again. PSGL back on your screens, this time from Yas Marina in Abu Dhabi as well. We can't wait for this one. Round 2 of the PSGL PC Championship, folks. After a scintillating race at Australia where we witnessed 2 drivers go at it right the way through, it was a penalty that divided Thomas Ronhaar and, of course, our eventual winner as well, Barry Burraman, taking yet another win at the start of a PSGL season. Can he do it again, though? That's the big question. My name is, of course, George Morgan, your commentator here tonight, and joining me, the Irishman, Jack and Ann. Jack, how are you? Punctuality, I like it, Jack. Punctuality. Yes.
Got an interesting one coming for you tonight.
Hey, Jack, I owe you an apology, mate. I owe you a terrible apology because you were muted right through that. And I kind of feel a little responsible, so sorry about that. But my desktop audio was set to the wrong output. Guys, I'm so sorry. Jack, can you please repeat exactly what you said?
No, I won't, because that's the last time you'll hear it.
No. Apologies, folks at home. My fault. The device, for some reason, OBS has had an update, and it's changed all my inputs and outputs. But Jack is here. You can hear him loud and clear. But, guys, great...
A prize, sorry, George. A prize to anyone who can transcribe what I said.
Yeah, yes, please do. And write it in the live chat as well so everyone can see it. But, guys, we are back again. And as we said before, Jack, Australia, of course, was a bit of a crazy race to some degree, but typical. The strategy sort of unfurled towards the middle point of the race. Then we saw the action start to pick up towards the end. Of course, Thomas Ronhaar, despite being, I would say, the serious aggressor in that last race, he certainly looked like he was the one that had the, I would say, the prime opportunity, although Barry Burraman did take him all the way. The eventual ending of it, obviously both drivers deserved something from the race, and it was just a mishap that caused Ronhaar to miss out.
Yeah, initially when I saw the penalty pop up, I just assumed it was, you know, the classic double warning that you see all the time. But we received confirmation afterward that it was just Ronhaar pushing so hard on the final lap. They got 3 warnings on the final lap because he was trying so hard to catch up to Barry. But I think it was a great marker for what we can expect in the season. Obviously, Ronhaar really, really strong, but still the winless streak in PSGL PCF1 continues. So let's see if he can finally break it. But we're counting down, coming into the lobby right now. Obviously, we don't have the F1 Esports pole sitter here with us tonight, so I can't tip him for pole. Damn it! But we've got some new names that may take the top honors. So a couple of drivers who are out, ill, and all that kind of thing. So we'll see what happens. We've got some great replacements, and we have, of course, our title contenders, Thomas Ronhaar, who is also here as well. Jake Benham is here as always, and Barry Burraman is here as well. So very, very excited for this.
Very excited, folks. And also, to add to the excitement, Jack and Ann, we've got a new driver on the grid. New to the platform of PC. Never been seen before on PC either. Stepping up here at PSGL Tier 1. None other than Xbox GOAT. It is Otis Lawrence. He has come to the PC grid, Jack and Ann, against the very best in the business. We're finally seeing 2 worlds collide tonight.
Absolutely. So Otis Lawrence, finally, he's made it over to PC, and he is filling in. He's filling in at Red Bull this week, we believe, alongside Iker Baena, who is also on the grid as well. But Otis Lawrence making his way into the PC F1 grid. I mean, what a place to make a debut on the pinnacle of league racing here on PC, and I'm excited to see what he's able to do. Obviously, moving from Xbox over to PC, it's never an easy task, of course. There's little nuances, there's differences, so I'm interested to see how quickly he adapts, but I'm expecting big things from Otis Lawrence making that jump across from PC. You can see as well, obviously, Iker Baena is also in at Red Bull, so there's some other changes as well. Max Wissel is in at Ferrari this week as well, as Ishmael Fassi as well, who's also in Ferrari colours this week, I think, in P16 there. So some different changes, and nice to welcome Tomek Paradzic back as well from his missing week.
Yes, and as well, folks, it's a bit of almost a clean slate at this point. There's only been 3 podium sitters on this grid here at Abu Dhabi in PSGL PCF1 history. And those three are, we have got podium sitter in Barry Buraman, also Danny Beresne, and Thomas Ronha, the only three drivers that have managed to score at least a podium here at Yas Marina. Tonight, in this grid alone, this very classification that you're seeing right in front of you, folks, we will crown a first race winner here tonight. And who do you pick out of that squad of 20 there, Jack?
It's tough. It's very tough to pick a winner out of this. But, you know, to be honest, until I see qualifying, I'm not exactly going to be 100% certain. Obviously, Barry was really strong in round one, and he really likes the start of the season. So my early pick in Q1 is Barry for the win, but I will reserve judgment until we get to the end of qualifying.
Yeah, I'd say that's a fair assumption. I mean, obviously, Barry Buraman, proven to be a staunch competitor, has been certainly at the top of his game for so long, and has proven his point, and is now competing under the banner of McLaren Shadow, and has done now in F1 Esports, and has done so successfully. The McLaren team obviously scooping up a team's championship win, not to mention Lucas Blakely taking the drivers' championship win as well. So incredible stuff indeed for those, and certainly the McLaren team have also lined up Wilson Hughes this season to partner Barry Buraman, obviously not getting the chance, we alluded to this in Australia, not getting the opportunity to race in F1 Esports, but he has every chance to impress in PSGL this season.
Yeah, and he put on a great display last week with teammate Barry Buraman up at the front end as well. So definitely a great opportunity as well, as we've mentioned, for him to show why he was picked by McLaren, Wilson Hughes. So great to see him back out as well, and a very, very strong team lineup there at McLaren as well. So great stuff across the board as we're just having the first initial Q1. Do you know what? This is actually the first time I could say my traditional line, George. There's three certainties in life. There's debt, there's taxes, and there's drivers and intermediates in Q1.
Yeah, some things never change, Jack Kinnan. You are indeed spot on. We have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drivers out on intermediate compound tyres at the moment. Luke Smith, who we're currently seeing on our screen, is currently donning them right now, has gone purple in the first sector, or the first and second sector. I'd imagine, I think someone has actually taken it off him in the first sector, but the second sector he holds on to. But Philip Prejnader immediately now goes to the top with a 128.131, 2 on the intermediate tyres. So we won't see the soft compounds run out till later. Of course, the track temperature will be lifting upwards as the session goes on. We've still got an almighty 14 minutes to bring that up to spec as well. So plenty of drivers will be waiting in the garage. And I'd imagine it won't be until, should we say, the 18th, well, probably the 8th minute, 7th minute, that we'll start to really see the lap times coming out, Jack.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's going to be these first runs, which are, you know, saving a set of tires, checking that that your wheel is functioning correctly, even at a basic level. So, you know, there's still plenty of time for laps to come in. So obviously, don't take these as the be-all and end-all. Some drivers won't even bother coming out on a set of intermediates. As you can see, plenty of drivers haven't bothered to come out to do a lap, but Danny Beresne is ending that drought for us very thankfully. He is the only car out on the circuit at the moment that is on a set of soft compound tires, and you know, this is classic Danny Beresne. He, when everyone else is in the pits, he comes out and wants the track to himself.
Yeah, no, and I think that's fair. I mean, Will Lewis, we're just seeing on our screens as well, running extraordinarily wide around the last couple of corners at turn 15 and 16. Into the pit lane comes the Mercedes driver, and looking to come back again after what was a dazzling qualifying display, even for his standards, Jack Kinnan.
Absolutely, yeah. So he had a big qualifying session last week. We even tipped him for pole at one stage, didn't we? But it didn't quite get there. But still, had a very impressive qualifying performance with a not so good race in the end of it. So let's see if he can redeem this time. Maybe sacrifice the qualifying a little bit and get the good race out of it. But well, Danny Beresne, he's beginning his first lap around Abu Dhabi, and the first proper lap around Abu Dhabi since a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah, he certainly is, rounding turn 1 as well. Let's run on board with the great Hungarian as well as he winds his way through turns 2, turn 3 as well, and then in towards turn 4 in the Alfa Romeo, down towards turn 5. Now he's into sector 2 proper, into the hairpin. This, of course, the site where it would be the battle for the F1 Esports Championship. At the very start of the race, it was Thomas Ronha who was battling for the lead off the start-finish line. Danny Beresne this time, though, will send it down towards turn 6. Speed trap just at the end of this straight as well, up through this very, very tight nippy chicane as well. Turn 7, he is now about to hit, he'll now hit the throttle again as he now works his way, opens up the DRS now around this next left at turn 8. It'll then be a trip down towards turn 9, which is an in-swinging corner. Very, very graceful. It used to be a lot more helter-skelter at this point. There used to be a chicane at that part of the track. No longer. He has gone purple as you would expect in the second sector, but now making his way through the final sector. He's got 10, 11, now out of 12, into 13 he goes. 14 comes up next to turn 15 is up after this. 2 corners remain for Dani Bereznej. What time is he going to get us started with here with 11 minutes to go here in this session? A hot lap by the Hungarian, and it is a 122.876.
Yeah, first lap on the board, and the other car that is on the hot lap is, well, another debutant in PCF1 for this season at the very least, Manuel Biancalila in the Aston Martin, filling in at that second role this evening. So good to have Manuel back with us in that Aston Martin colours. So he's out on a lap as well. Will Lewis, he is also out on a lap, but is still, I think, on a set of, well, was on a set of inters, but has now changed to a set of softs. So he is beginning his timed effort in just a few moments as well in the Mercedes, but still, plenty of cars that still haven't made an appearance out on the circuit, so it could get a little bit congested in a few minutes.
Yeah, absolutely right. We're just now watching Biancalila make his way through the final part of the circuit now. And, he'll look to place his first lap on the board. Of course, teammating with John Evans here tonight, and they were teammates through the entirety of the F1 Esports season. But the Aston Martin now hurtling around the final corner at turn 16, up towards the line now. And commencing his first lap, or finalising it at least, a 23 flat, approximately just under 0.2 of a second off Dani Bereznej's time. And of course, these laps will tighten up as we work our way through the session. We are now well within the 10-minute mark now, 9 minutes and 45, with more and more cars making their way out. Will Lewis also on a lap, and certainly looking to try and bring back, or certainly recover the damage that was done at Australia. He qualified well, Jack, but it's what happened in the race that really cost him dearly.
Yeah, it didn't make the end of the race, simple as, and had a pretty shocking start in the end, but is now trying to redeem. So he's in the Mercedes colours this week, of course, at Mercedes, filling in for Jarno Watmir essentially this week. So big shoes to fill for Will Lewis. Let's see what he's able to do in that Merc. Obviously teammates with Jake Benham, who's also on the grid as well, and he, of course, Jake picking up second in the race last week. So Will Lewis coming around the final corner now is going to go to third, 23.185, slots in behind Biancalila, and we have some more on time as well. Max Wiesel, the German, in the Ferrari as well. Good to have Max in PCF1 as well. Good to see him out on track, and he's about to come through the last 2 corners as well in Ferrari colours. Obviously Fabrizio Donoso not available this week either. He's actually about to begin another lap. This is not a representative time, and he will begin another lap in a few moments' time. Begins one now, but obviously very congested out on the circuit now. Barry Borman, Wilson Hughes are out together at the same time, but well, I think this is a welcome to PC F1 moment, George. Otis Lawrence beginning his first lap.
He is indeed. Barry Burman, of course, we're currently seeing on our screen, of course, race winner in our very first race this season, and what a way to start as well. But Otis Lawrence, of course, this is the big question mark. Can he do it? It's like they always say, Jack, can they do it on a cold, rainy night in Stoke? Isn't it? I think that is the way they say it. But certainly coming from Xbox to PC, new challenges now lie in wait for Otis Lawrence. Let's see if he can pull it off. How about we go on a lap with this young talent? He now makes his way down through towards the next left. Of course, it'll be turn 6 in towards turn 7 there. The very tight chicane. Of course, the Red Bull being donned by Otis Lawrence on this occasion. Marcel Kiefer not here tonight. Ike Boehner also steps in. So new faces in PSGL on this occasion, Jack Cannan.
Yeah, it's what we'd love to see, isn't it? Love to see new guys coming in. Marcel Kiefer obviously out, and Josh Ito as well, also out this week. Ishmael Fassi going up to the top as well in this Ferrari this week. He's filling in at Alfa Romeo last week and switching over to Ferrari this week. But now Otis Lawrence beginning the final sector now. And let's see what his first statement of intent is in PC F1. Although it is Q1, again, early markers laid down. Tomi Prajic popping in front of his teammate by just 16 thousandths of a second. Now, a couple more still to come. Here comes Otis Lawrence then round the final corner for his first timed effort in PC F1. What is it going to be? Up to the 4th place, 22.882, right on the pace of Dani Bereznej.
Very, very quick indeed. Only P4, but not far behind, it has to be said. Ismail Fassi, though, back to the top. Now, we've spoken about how talented this young man really is, and he's certainly proving it once again. The McLarens are also out on track as well. Barry Burremand now making his way through the final sector. Danny Beresney now third fastest, as we said before, 22.876. Otis Lawrence 22.882. Daniel Haddad fifth quickest. Manuel Biancalila back out on an outlap. He is sixth fastest as well, ahead of Will Smith, Luke Smith, Will Lewis and Luke Smith ninth fastest. Alvaro Caratongo second fastest. John Evans goes third fastest. Here comes Barry Burremand up towards the line, first fastest, with Wilson Hughes in tow in behind. Fifth fastest for Wilson. McLaren back to the top again at 22.635, and that is currently P1 and Q1.
How about Philip Preschneider, George? P2, 22.742. Now, Philip as well goes well around Abu Dhabi, so watch out for Philip Preschneider, who's a former championship contender back in the first season of this. But it's a really good, solid effort from Philip Preschneider up into second. But again, this is just classic PSGL. Look at how close it is, all the way down to P16. Of course, there's only a couple of tenths, 4 tenths covering the field from first down to 16th, roughly speaking. And you can see all those cars in the middle on 22.8. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars on a 22.8, and then you've also got 4 cars on a 22.7. Thomas Ronhaar, though, he finds a 22.4 because of course he does.
Yeah, brilliant from Thomas Ronhaar. Again ahead. It's been these two again, Jack. Barry Burremand and Thomas Ronhaar, the two that duelled it out in our first race at Australia. They're back again now with 5 minutes to go almost. Thomas Ronhaar to the top, and he's over 1.5 tenths clear. That is a 0.166, folks at home. Incredible, and a golf, really, in many ways. Certainly when you consider a grid of this caliber, Jack Canan.
Yeah, it is. It's a large gap again. It's only Q1, but as well, it'll be worrying times a little bit for seeing a 22.4 immediately off of the back of that. So at the end of the kind of these first runs in the drop zone at the moment is Biancalila, Iker Bena, Will Lewis, Luke Smith, who hasn't managed to put a good lap together at all, and Max Wiesel in the Ferrari are in the drop zone currently with about 4.5 minutes left to go. So this is going to be very, very tight for these guys at the end of theirs. I think Max Wiesel may be on another attempt at the moment, but again, sometimes these guys like to push very hard for the first couple of sectors and then back off into the pit lane straight away. So I'll wait to reserve judgment for that. But again, the cutoff point at the moment is a 23.0, but I reckon getting into those 22.9s, 22.8s, that could be where our cutoff is.
It could well be. Max Wiesel, bottom of the standing right now. Still early doors though. Time for drivers to set yet more lap times. Danny Beresney working his way through the final sector. Incidentally, Max Wiesel has found time in the first 2 sectors, looking reasonably quick, at least for now. Obviously, we'll have to see and reserve judgment just to see what he decides to do. He's out of the soft tyres, making his way through the final sector now. Let's see what he can enlist, this Ferrari, or whether he does decide to bail into the pit lane. Danny Beresney is also out and about. Thomas Ronhaar, very confident. Oh, Wiesel losing the rear end coming out of that left-hander. Fassi is retired as well, and Wiesel as a response, obviously, to that little slip, coming into the pit lane, not content, losing time in the final sector.
Yeah, that was a big moment for Max Wiesel through the infamous left-hander where Latifi binned it, of course. But plenty of drivers retiring, so I think top 5 don't think we're going to see, well, at least a good few guys, all on a 22.7. They're happy that they will get through. 3 minutes to go. So again, everyone below does not seem to think that they are safe. This is going to be very, very tight indeed. A couple of cars out. Jake Benham is out on the track as well. He's on the 22.9, so he's definitely not safe on that mid 22.9. Ruben Pedreño as well. He's P10 on a 22.880. So this is going to get a bit frantic. You can see on the mini-map, look at the queue of cars coming out of pit lane right now. This is going to get very tight. Yeah, well, Boromant's just retired as well. So we've just seen 6 cars already retire from the session. Obviously very confident with where they sit right now. Alvaro Caraton is still not yet retired, but I'd imagine he will be one of them that won't go back out again, certainly with 2 minutes and 15. He still remains in his pit box. Wilson Hughes, everyone from Wilson Hughes downwards are now out on track. Manuel Biancalila just leaving. Max Wiesel still yet to come out. Oh, no, he has. He's just left the pit lane, in fact. We're just seeing now Jake Benham through now the final sector. He's going to be the first car now in this final point in Q1 to set a lap.
should be hindered with the traffic. Obviously, that is a major concern with many drivers, Jack, but naturally at this point, Jake Benham, all he'll want to focus on is trying to move his way up from P12 because he's at a severe danger point right now.
Yeah, no, and he cannot afford to invalidate because he has to assume that everyone else behind him is going to improve. So this is crunch time really for Jake Benham. Second in the championship, so needs to get himself up the order. Of course, Barry Borman leading the championship, Jake Benham in second in the championship, of course, but there is still plenty of time left, but needs to make sure that he secures himself out of into Q2 as he heads through the hairpin in sector number 1. We'll keep an eye on all those sector times as we have a lot of cars and we're beginning hot laps right now, so we'll do our best to keep up with absolutely everything. The good news is that Jake Benham has got a massive gap to all of the cars behind. He'll be the first one to set a time. Comes into the braking zone for the chicane, into the left and into the right, being super patient with the throttle. Full throttle now, DRS detection point down on the MotoGP straight. This is where they begin. Down into this, obviously it used to be the chicane, but thankfully that is now changed into this wonderful back corner. He's about 100th up in the middle sector, so he needs a lot more. He needs a big final sector here, does Jake Benham.
He does, he needs a massive one in fact, Jack, but nevertheless he will have a chance. Because we know what he's capable of. He is a champion in his own right. Obviously on consoles as well. Was picked up by the Mercedes esports team to partner Jarno Opmeer and Danny Moreno for the brand new F1 esports season last year. And very much featured in the final event now as Jake Benham comes through the final corner now. P12 currently. Can he raise himself off the bottom? He does, third fastest. Great time certainly there from Jake Benham, a 22.672. More and more cars also working there through. Ruben Pedreño, who currently sits in P12, he was one place above that of Jake Benham himself. Can he also rise to the top here in the late stage of Q1? Up towards the line, he goes second fastest. Brilliant lap indeed from him. More and more cars working their way through. Daniel Haddad as well. They're queuing up here at this point. Tomek Paradzic goes fourth fastest. Here comes Haddad now. Up towards the line. The Williams. He goes 12th fastest. Not enough to usurp certainly anyone else. We got Will Lewis now heading around the final corner now. Currently 19th place. Can he pull off yet another dazzling effort? 14th. He's at risk. Here comes out the Red Bull of what looks to be Otis Lawrence. 7th fastest from the young pretender. As we're now also seeing Tom Manley up towards the line. Impressive in Australia. 8th quickest for him as well. We've got many more cars coming through. Aston Martin now with Manuel Biancalila 17th. What about Max Wiesel? He's out of qualifying with another Red Bull looking to come across the line. Iker Boehner, he manages to get through. Third fastest for Iker Boehner. Stunning effort here in Q1. Wilson Hughes will be one of the few, and he might be at risk here, Jack, because he's bailing into the pits.
He's fine. Everyone else has taken the checkered flag, so Wilson Hughes has scraped through by 2/100ths of a second. So all good for him. Ronard tops the session with Pedreño and Boehner in P2 and P3. Look at all those 22.6s.
Incredible.
Pedreño, Boehner, Borman, Paradzic, Benham, Smith, Lawrence and Manley are all on a 22.6. That is almost the entire top 10 within a 10th of a second. 800ths between second and ninth. Otis Lawrence through very, very comfortably in the end. 22.8 the cutoff point, but out in Q1. Daniele Haddad out in Q1. Will Lewis from last week to this week didn't get the qualifying right this week. Will Lewis out in 17th. Biancalila also out. Matthias van Erven also out. And Max Wiesel also out of qualifying. But again, George, it's a little bit of an omen. Ronard did one lap and that's all he did.
Well, I tell you what, speaks volumes, doesn't it? But I tell you what else speaks volumes, Jack Cadan. It's the fact that we got many drivers from F2 starting to challenge now at the top end of F1. Iker Boehner, what a lap. Ruben Pedreño also, we spoke about the danger of this AlphaTauri team. Tom Manley and Ruben Pedreño both in the top 10. Iker Boehner in third as well. Barry Burman fourth. Tomek Paradzic back in fifth as well. Jake Benham in sixth. Luke Smith in seventh. Otis Lawrence, a great debut so far. He is through to Q2. Tom Manley ninth, as we alluded to. Philip Prejnader in 10th. Great return for Philip Prejnader. Ishmael Fassi also getting through in 11th place. Alvaro Caraton in 12th. Danny Berejne as well in 13th, with John Evans 14th. Wilson Hughes just saved himself right on the bubble there of elimination, but we're losing Daniele Haddad. Will Lewis just could not recapture that form from Australia. Manuel Biancalila, Matthias van Erven and Max Wiesel, who had those issues, of course, during the qualifying session. A couple of invalidations, which certainly did not help. But I tell you what, the young drivers coming through at the moment, Ike Boehner, Ruben Pedreño, that AlphaTauri team that we said in the roster reveal at the start of the season that we thought could be the dark horses of this competition, this league this year. They've proven it, Jack. They are back again, and yet still positioning cars at the top end. You've got the likes of Boehner and Fassi, who are teammates in F2 with the Haas team. They're now stepping up to F1, and they both look incredibly quick. They
do, and proving why they are obviously capable drivers. You know, right up there at the front end. Obviously, it's still only Q1. So again, but again, it's a good omen for them. Comfortably through on the 22.6 for the majority of them as well. So established names mixed with the up-and-comers. That's what we want as well. And yeah, great to see so many of these guys performing at this top end as well. So Q2 underway then here in Abu Dhabi, and we will see who is going to make it through to the top 10 shootout. So will there be? There will be, I'm sure, plenty of surprises in this session. But again, as you saw, it was another statement of intent from Thomas Ronnar. One lap, and he topped the session. Yeah, he did. And will it be the same case again for Thomas Ronnar? Will he land one killer blow here at this point? We'll have to wait and see at home. But as we can now see, the drivers now making their way down through towards well, the next left-hander, of course, is very, very flowing circuit. Of course, they've only got the one tight chicane. Of course, it used to be two, as I said before. They had another one, of course, right towards the back end, leading in towards sector 3. They've now since changed it. It's now an in-swinger. You pretty much just lift off slightly, downshift a little bit as well, just graze the curb. Don't want to tackle it too much, though. You can spin the car, and you're at further risk of losing out on what could be an incredible qualifying lap. But now you can see the cars working their way through. It will, in fact, be Tomek Paradzic, the first man to set a lap time here at the very start of Q2, Jack. And with 15 cars now left, we're about to see 5 get eliminated at the end of this session. The question is, who are going to be the 10 that make it through to Q3? Yeah, we can take these, obviously, these first ones as obviously banker efforts, probably on a used set of tires as well. So again, these are important laps. You want to at least get something on the board. Obviously not in this case, but in the off chance it did rain, at least it'd have something. But again, no chance of that this evening in Abu Dhabi. But Tomek Paradzic making a return to the PC F1 roster at Alfa Romeo, and we will see what he is going to be capable of this season. He obviously is a full-time driver. Ismail Fassi filled in for him last week, but this time now he is back on the grid in Abu Dhabi, so great to see him back out on the grid next to his teammate Danny Berezne. But we'll see now what the first efforts are. Of course, these are going to be timed laps on used tires, so we'll see what the comparison is going to be. Again, used tires, it's one lap, but even that will take out enough life in the tires just a tiny bit. And when we're talking about league racing at this level, F1 esports, you know, those margins are very, very fine. Even the smallest thousandth can gain you a lot. So across the line for Tomek Paradzic, first lap there is a 23.3. There you can see compared to what we had before, 23.0 for Thomas Ronnar. So we're immediately about 6/10 off of what we were. Yeah, incredible indeed. Thomas Ronnar immediately to the top end as well. Barry Burman also coming through the final sector. Fassi goes third fastest as well. The AlphaTauri's coming through as Ruben Pedreño goes 6th fastest. In come the McLarens. Barry Burman 3rd fastest as well. And then, of course, you've got John Evans, who's just crossed the line to go 5th fastest. Wilson Hughes also crossed the line, but invalidating his lap time. Caraton going 2nd fastest, though. It's not been a bad session for Caraton, recovering here at this point. Of course, didn't have the best of runs in Australia, but he's back again, Jack, and he's up in the top end again. Remember, he was fast in Q1 as well. Yeah, and compared to last week, he was out in Q1, so this is a much better turnout for Alvaro Caraton, and we know how quick he is at the top end as well, so never ever count out Alvaro Caraton. He's won before in this tier as well, so let's see if he can convert that this way. But again, Ronnar just with the advantage on those used tires, currently 23.0. We can expect some very quick times. Those times will fall incredibly fast towards the end of this session. But Ronnar, Caraton, Burman, Benham, Lawrence, the top 5 at the moment on those used set of soft tires. So everyone will come round again and come into pit lane to put a new set of soft tyres on and head out again. So we'll see who's going to be the first to do that. I would imagine, at a rough guess, because he likes the track to himself, I'd imagine Danny Perez would be the first to do that.
Yeah, I think so. Caraton, though, within a tenth of a second of Thomas Ronhaar, so not a lot separating the pair. And they will no doubt get closer as well as time weaves onwards. Of course, we will have more laps to come, that's for sure, folks. We're only on 9 minutes and 50. Plenty more to come. They can get another 2 fast laps at this stage, as we now see Tom Manley come into the pit lane. Luke Smith as well will be doing exactly the same as well. Ronhaar now with his car moved into the pit lane. We're just seeing live pictures now of the Mercedes team putting away Jake Benham's car as well. Caraton, as I said before, not far away within a single tenth. Barry Burman, of course, winner last time at Australia, just outside a tenth of a second. Benham also just in behind him as well. Mere thousandths of a second between Jake Benham and Burman. In total, 5 thousandths to be exact. Mere fragments at this stage. We're now seeing some activity now. The Ferraris certainly looking like they're sending their cars out. Ismail Fassi, of course, 6th fastest at this point, now venturing through the tunnel. And no doubt looking to try and at least get another 2 laps on the board here, Jack, I think.
Yep, well, obviously feels that he can improve a lot, but he's given himself the best opportunity in this one. So cars starting to appear out on the circuit now, but Ismail Fassi is the first of them. We got one of the Alfa Romeos, which is Atomic Paragic, who comes out behind him. And we have Alvaro Caraton, who's also out on the circuit as well. The sole representative of Williams, who has made it this far as well. Let's see what Caraton is capable of in Q2. But Barry also out as well. Lots of cars starting to appear now, so some guys going to go. Seems like there could be a bunch of 2 runs, a bunch of double runs here in this one. So giving themselves time just in case they screw up the first attempt, that they have time to go for another one, because it is, again, it's quite a long out lap, and then another. You've got to factor in your out lap, your time lap, and then the lap back to the pits to then get another set of tyres on and come back out and do another out lap to start another time lap. So they really don't have a lot of time. If they do mess up their first runs, you know, they're leaving themselves quite vulnerable, so they don't want to do that. No, not at all. Tomo Bradgis now takes over as the lead car making its way out on this track. Fassi is given that pleasure up to Tomo Bradzik, who's now making his way through the final sector. Of course, around the final couple of corners he will go to then commence a flying lap, no less. And now around the corner of turn 16, Sector 1 now opens up for the Alfa Romeo as he now crosses the line now. And he'll make his way down through towards turn 1 yet again. More and more cars streaming outwards here with 7 minutes 25 to go. Ronhaar still leads the way. Obviously not comfortable with retiring just yet. Still on a 23. Of course, we have seen 22, so no less we would expect the track to bring us faster lap times. But incredible to see Ronhaar's hard work paying off for him. Of course, the most talented rookie in F1 Esports last season. He's now since come back to PSGL, was in contention for the win last week. He's going to look to right the wrong that penalty gave him. 3 warnings in a single corner for Thomas Ronhaar, which led to that penalty being dished out. And now Tomek Paradzis will also be looking to come back. And it's amazing to think how far Paradzis has come in his esports journey as well, Jack Kinnan, of course. It feels like he's been on the circuit for such a long time, but he is such a young age as well. Yeah, he's been around for a long time, but is still, again, still very young and still at the start, really, of his career. So we'll see what he can muster here. But he's already half a second up on his best Sector 2 time, the one he just set at the start of Q2. So in through underneath the hotel and then into the last couple of corners. So round the double right, he comes in his Alfa Romeo. So 22.4 was the fastest time in Q1. Where are we now? We are 22.5 for Tomek Paradzis, so only about a tenth off what Ronhaar managed in the first one. 22.6 for Fassi. Then we've got Caraton behind, who goes to a 22.54, slightly quicker again for Alvaro Caraton. Barry Borman next, 22.41, so a low 22.4 for Barry Borman on that first effort. Then we have Jake Benham, who's about to come across the line, but had invalidated the time in the end. Well, actually, he did improve, but again, he invalidated the time. It was a 22.4, would have put him P2, but still, this is what we're talking about. He's got a long run back to the pit lane now to try and get another set of tyres on and go again. That was a 22.45, would have put him behind Barry, who we're watching now for these next couple of cars across the line. We've got one of the Alpines coming across, pressure to go 6th. Here comes Ronhaar then. Does he go even faster? Of course he does. 22.297 across the line, and Otis Lawrence into second on a 22.3.
Yeah, brilliant lap from Thomas Ronhaar again, stamping his authority, but Otis Lawrence, second quickest, within a tenth of a second of Thomas Ronhaar. The big players now starting to come in. You've got Ronhaar in front now, but only 900ths of a second behind is Otis Lawrence, the Xbox Masterclass man himself, the man who has certainly been proclaimed as one of the up-and-coming rising stars out of console gaming on the F1 game, has now moved across to PC and shows he very much has the pace and the quality to make this grade, Jack Kinnan. He is not far away, within a tenth of a second, and Barry Burman also not far behind. These gaps are just unbelievable.
Yeah, so he's making his mark already on PC. Otis Lawrence getting through the Q3 in the fastest tier on your first attempt. That'll be something else, and only 900ths away from Thomas Ronhaar. That is something else from Otis Lawrence. So we'll see now if he can go for another run. Again, you can never totally feel that you're safe, especially when it's mere margins that we're talking about. So currently the man who's on the cusp is Ishmael Fassi in P10, 22.63, only 0.02 of a second behind Philip Breschnader, and only a couple of hundreds in front of the next car, which is Danny Beresne, who is in the drop zone at the minute, as well as John Evans. And Jake Benham, again, that invalidation will cost him. That would have been a lap that would have put him just behind Wilson Hughes, and now he's got to lay it all on the line for one lap.
Well, can we just speak about Otis Lawrence's age? 14 years of age, folks, from Wales as well. Hometown hero, fellow countryman of mine as well. Otis Lawrence, the young Welshman. Of course, Wales has a little bit of success with F1 esports talent. Josh Edo, of course, driving for AlphaTauri, who was sensational. Actually scored pole position at Abu Dhabi in F1 esports last season. But now we have Otis Lawrence, who has come in off Xbox, has now moved to the PC platform, and certainly showing that he deserves to be here as well. What a talent this young man really is. And you can really see why Veloce placed all that stock in him as well, bringing him to the team, making him part of their new academy division. And you can't blame them. I mean, he's an exciting talent, isn't he, at this stage? Yeah,
and he's not old enough to get to esports yet, and he's got a couple of years of even further developing pace before he can get there. So he's this is exciting times. This is what League Racing is here to do, to develop the young drivers on their way to the top. So let's see if he can carry this on into Q3. So this is great. So we've got plenty of young drivers in there as well. Ruben Pedreño inside the top 10 as well. Ishmael Fassi, that's confidence, isn't it? He's retired. He feels he's safe.
He's got Ronhaar syndrome at this point. He's retired from the session, folks. Two cars out. They're both within a single tenth. Ronhaar and Lawrence no longer see it fit to go out for the latter stage of Q2. So that leaves the McLarens to answer for something. Now, will they go out? That's the big question. Luke Smith has. There's one McLaren car on the move, and I can confirm it's Barry Burman. Obviously, he doesn't want to stay in third place, knows that he's at risk. I mean, if you look at behind him, only tenths of a second, 2 tenths even behind. John Evans, he's literally 4.5 tenths off the lead. You take that away from Barry Burman, that's 3 to 2 tenths. That's very, very much achievable for anyone in the elimination zone right now. So my question to you, everyone in the live chat, who is getting eliminated? Please tell me the 5 drivers that are getting eliminated here in Q2. Let us know your opinion, folks. That's what the live chat's for. Hit us up there, and let's watch the drivers now make their way through the final moments of Q2. Jack, where do you see it going?
It's a tough one. I think I really don't know. Literally any one of these guys could get eliminated. I think anyone who's below, I would say, a 22 point, in around a 22.5 is definitely not safe. Barry may have a little bit of leeway, but again, he doesn't feel safe. So it's going to be tricky to see. These guys cannot afford to screw up this lap now, as Ishmael Fassi begins his lap now. So we've got plenty to keep our eyes on as the final laps of Q2 begin. But this is literally anybody's to lose.
It is at this stage. Jake Benham is heading out of the first major chicane. Of course, there used to be one right before it, but even before turn 5, but they took that one away as well. I must say, I do like what they've done with the Abu Dhabi circuit, it has to be said. Jake Benham now coming through in towards the latter sector now. He's in sector 3 proper and will now negotiate his way through the 90-degree rights and lefts. Of course, Latifi losing it in the latter stage of this final sector, which would lead to the very controversial 2021 championship decider. As now watching Jake Benham make his way through now towards the final 2 corners on the circuit, turn 15 and 16. The silver arrows now trying to hit every apex, maximize every exit as he now heads towards the line now. Third fastest once again for Jake Benham. Shades of Q1 already. Ruben Pedreño goes 8th fastest himself. We got Danny Beresne also coming through. 6th fastest for Danny Beresne. We've got Tomet Paragic's teammate who goes 7th fastest as well. Ismail Fassi, the sole lone Ferrari here in this session now, looking to try and escape the drop zone. The F2 driver that has lit up the stage here at PSGL, 8th quickest for him. John Evans, can he get out of Q2? He can! 5th fastest for John Evans, a great lap, as we also see Ika Boehner come through as well. More and more cars coming across the line. Boehner's lost it again. He's lost it again. Tom Manley, 3rd fastest himself as well. Luke Smith has also gone 3rd fastest and taken the privilege of him as well. What about Wilson Hughes, who's coming through? Barry Burman's also on a lap. He's coming around the final corner. The real fast Iranian hits the top at 22.185. Can his teammate even beat him? 2 corners still to go. Caraton's coming through as well. Let's see him. No, he's not on a flying lap. He's coming to the pit lane, and Wilson Hughes towards the line. 7th fastest, but he could not stop his teammate, Barry Burman, plus 1/10 quicker than Thomas Ronha. Incredible.
Yeah, great stuff from Barry. So he's straight out of the box. Caraton invalidated that final run. But can we again talk about how close this is? Tom Manley, Jake Benham, exactly at the same time. Amazing. Just behind him, absolutely Wilson Hughes amazing. By 1,000th, right behind. This is crazy stuff here in this. Tommy Paragic making it through by the smallest of margins again, but he gets through to Q3 in front of Ismail Fassi. Again, an amazing Q2. We've got a real superstar lineup for this Q3 battle for pole position. Barry Burman by 1/10 of a second, but again, he did have to do an extra run. Thomas Ronnar in second, Otis Lawrence in third in Q2, followed by Luke Smith. Great effort from Luke Smith, you have to say, in the Alpine. Then Jake Benham getting through as well. Wilson Hughes, John Evans, I have to say, great effort from John Evans as well to get through to Q3. And both of the Alfa Romeos also get through as well. And this is going to be brilliant, honestly. Barry versus Ronnar, I think you have to argue, is the battle for pole position. But again, it could all change.
Absolutely right, indeed. You can just see there that last finalised classification. Of course, the top 10, Paradzis just escaping elimination there. Incredible scenes, to say the least. But amazing folks at home. Obviously, we're looking forward to seeing what happens as we make our way in towards Q3. That is your 10 drivers that are going to be making their way through. Barry Burman again on song, though, Jack, and he certainly looks in good shape to take the big points here.
Certainly does, but again, it was the extra run for me, so he may have one less set of tyres available in Q3, but again, maybe he mightn't need them for this one, but it'll be an interesting battle for pole position here. Barry has the pace, Ronnar obviously has the pace, could see a surprise, we don't know, but again, it's an equal spread of young talent mixed with the F1 Esports guys. Of course, Tom Manley getting through to Q3, you've got Otis Lawrence through to Q3 on his first attempt here in F1 PC, and he's straight through into Q3 and didn't have to do an extra run to do it either, so watch out for him as well. So this is going to be very exciting qualifying. Yeah,
great wholesome moments, folks, it has to be said. We've got Q3 now getting underway, so we will now move across to our game screen and obviously check things out over in the pit lane, and no activity just yet, but we are within the 11th minute. I hope you guys are all doing well in the live chat. Please, if you haven't done so already, make sure you leave a like and also leave a subscribe to the PSGL YouTube channel. It's a pleasure to have you guys here every Wednesday night. And myself, George Morgan, and Jack Canan very much enjoy taking you guys through what happens on a PSGL race night. Of course, we're looking forward to yet another one, folks. As you can see, these are your top 10. John Evans, Tom Manley, Barry Burman and Wilson Hughes, the two McLarens, once again working in tandem as they did in F1 Esports and very much like they did at Australia last time out. Danny Beresne, as well as Jake Benham, Tomek Paragis, the two Alfa Romeos are still very much there too. How about Thomas Ronha? Can he right the wrong from last time? Otis Lawrence debut Q3 performance here in Abu Dhabi. What a way to start. Luke Smith as well making it through for Alpine. I'm sure they'll be pleased with that as well, folks. Incredible to say the least. Of course, one man who will not be, unfortunately, making it through to Q3 is Matthias van Erven, who we actually lost in our first session. And there we can just catch up with him as well. Just looking calm and content, but he's got a lot of work to do when we go racing later on, Jack, because he's going to have to lift himself off the bottom of the order to find his way back in.
Yeah, I think he ended up in 19th, 18th, 19th, I think, in the end from Matthias van Erven. So a lot of work to do compared to last week. Again, he had a very good qualifying last week, but not able to convert it at Abu Dhabi. So some work to do for Matthias van Erven. But again, he will just keep the head down, and that's what you've got to do. You've just got to make sure just got to keep pushing forward. So we'll see what he's able to do from the back of the grid. You can never know what can happen, especially on lap 1. But only a couple of cars have come out onto the circuit. Tomac Paragic is one of them. Otis Lawrence as well is coming out for an early run in his Red Bull. And we also have Luke Smith in the Alpine as well, is also on his way out. One of the McLarens also making their way out as well, out of the pit lane to begin their lap. But Tomac Paragic, he will take us round for the first Q3 lap. Again, these will be banker runs, but again, ever as important, especially in Q3.
Yeah, absolutely right. Tomac Paragic now is going to get us back underway here in Q3. And, obviously, he'll have the first lap in this session as well. Of course, we're coming up towards the 8.5 minute mark now. Of course, 8.5 minutes still to go in this session. The Alfa Romeo of Tomac Paragic now enters turn 1. And he'll make his way through the weaving section, the snake section here at Abu Dhabi. And then the very tight hairpin at turn 5, of course, the scene of where Max Verstappen would overtake Lewis Hamilton for that world title back in 2021 as well. Comes through, purple first sector, as you'd expect for Paragic, the pole. And has competed in the Polish F1 Esports Championship, has been made champion as well. Now competing in the official Formula 1 F1 Esports title as well, or Championship too. And no doubt a star in our current era, or current generation of talents that are trying to strike for the top, or the top goal in the world of Formula 1, or certainly F1 Esports, of course, hailed by the likes of Jarno Opmeer, not to mention Brendan Lee, David Tanitsa, many great champions over the years, and now you can add Lucas Blakely to the list as well. Tomac Paragic will obviously be looking to try and achieve exactly the same things. And, you can never write the young starlet off as well. Makes his way through the final sector, through this next right, now the next left as well. The Romeo making its way through 2 corners after this one. Of course, turn 15 and 16 remain here for Paragic. Now, where will he position this car? Heads through the final bend now at Abu Dhabi. No better place to do it. Usually a grand finale, but this time it's round 2, a 23.046. Not the most secure of times, because we know that they can hit the 22s. Jake Benham going slowly, though, on his immediate outlap, getting ready to tee up a fast run, as we know CD Silver Arrow is making its way through. But Tomac Paragic with first blood at this stage. The cars look a little bit jumbled up, a little bit of traffic in all areas at this track at this moment in time, Jack.
Yep, they do indeed. So 23.0, of course, that will denote a used set of tyres for Tomac Paragic when you compare it to the times that they were doing earlier on in Q2. We got down to the 22.2s on those sets of tyres. Luke Smith is also on a time lap as well. Otis Lawrence straight out of the box. Those aren't old tyres. 22.3 for Otis Lawrence on his first banker effort on those tyres. Absolutely phenomenal from Otis Lawrence on his first attempt. So you can definitely assume he's going all out for pole position on those tyres.
Yeah, he certainly is. Wilson Hughes now around the final corner. Otis Lawrence, a sensational 22.353. Where does Wilson Hughes land? Second fastest behind that of Wilson Hughes. Tom Manley up towards the line. He invalidated his run as well. John Evans coming up towards the line himself. He also invalidated on his fast run. Danny Beresne also trying to work his way through the latter sector. Tomac Paragic, obviously, after already making his fast run, he's got Jake Benham coming up behind him as well. Quite a few gaps between the cars now. Now, Jake Benham, the all-star, as he has been proclaimed. Mercedes see a lot of stock in this young man. Of course, one of the great talents to come out of consoles, battling in the world of Xbox, eventually challenging everyone in the world of PSGL and WR as he has done over the years. Comes up towards the line, Jake Benham. He is also not set a valid lap time as well, but Thomas Ronha has, and that's a 22.175. Brilliant lap time. And here comes as well Barry Burman. He goes second fastest. Sensational.
This is a brilliant battle for Paul, isn't it? Only a couple of hundreds between them, and Barry did do a 0.1 in Q2, so there is fine margins on the line here. Thomas Ronnar 22-1 on his first lap, Boorman 22-2, Otis Lawrence 22.3. This is literally anyone's game, but it's Ronnar with the first blood. Now, looking at the gaps that they had in Q2, a couple of hundred separating them, but still advantage Ronnar on that 22.175. So absolutely brilliant efforts from those guys at the moment. So initially the grid is a Ronnar Boorman front row, which would be basically exactly what we saw last week with then Otis Lawrence behind on the second row of the grid next to Wilson Hughes. But again, we're going to have everyone peel into pit lane for what we like to call the calm before the storm.
It certainly is just that, Jack. I mean, just look at this. Exactly 500ths of a second between Barry Boorman and Thomas Ronnar. They are literally inseparable. They weren't you couldn't separate them at Australia. It was those two fighting together that eventually gave us the great battle in the final few laps, which of course Barry Boorman came out on top of. But this time the shoe's on the other foot in terms of qualifying, and Ronnar is on top with Barry Boorman just in behind as well. But don't let that fool you, folks. With 3 minutes and 50 to go, Boorman could very easily turn this tide around. Of course, he's not far behind, within the same tenth of a second. Otis Lawrence as well. How about that, Jack? Splitting the two McLarens. He's third fastest on debut here in Q3.
Yeah, and I wonder, has he got more? Has he got more in the tank? Has he got more time? We'll have to wait and see. But again, if you remember, it was Barry Boorman on pole last week. So Ronnar trying to trade blows, get himself out his first pole position of the season. Of course, last season he had the most pole positions of anybody compared when he joined into the season as well. So let's see, the front row would maybe mirrored in a way. We could have a brand new second row coming up for you guys. So the calm before the storm has started. It's all quiet on pit lane in Abu Dhabi. We'll see who's going to be the first one to come out of pit lane and begin the top 10 shootout for pole. You can see some movement further down the pit lane. I think it is the Alfa Romeo garage who are the first to release a car out onto the circuit. It is Tomek Paradzic leading the charge of everybody. He'll get some clean air to head around, but let's see what he can do. P5 at the moment, really good effort, and of course that 23.0 on a set of used tyres, so definitely more time to come for Tomek.
Yeah, and the live chat as well at home. It's time. It is time. Let us know in the live chat who you predict will be pole for this race in Abu Dhabi. Who is taking top spot here in the final stages of qualifying? Let me know in that live chat. I want to see it flooded. Jack, I want to hear from you as well. Who's taking pole position?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Do I go statistics or do I go with what I want to see? I think I might have to go with an Otis Lawrence pole. I feel it. I'm feeling it.
You're feeling it. Well, I tell you what, you're not alone. I can see Florentine Batundi going for Barry Boorman, Iki Rookie going for Otis, Cameron's dad, Otis for pole, Jan Sobiraj going for Binham. We've got Dvorak going for Thomas. We've got Creaking Jordans, Jana Watmier's Ghost, Mohammed Sain going for Speed Barry. We've got Duncan Offland going for Trim Evans. Very good. Sleight of hand on his haircut there. Tyson is gone for Ronnar pole. We've got Darth going for Barry, Ali going for Barry. We've got Jess Games going for Otis, hoping that he gets pole. What about Corentin Bootle? What about Dylan? Dylan is, I think he's just talking to Dylan Warren in the live chat, but loads for Otis here. Ronnar as well, Barry, again Otis, says Jevon Davis. Dylan Warren has said Barry as well. Scyther has gone for Ronnar pole, but Otis to go close. I'll tell you what, we will find out shortly, folks. Tomek Paradzic is out on track now, getting ready to tee up his faster runs. Big thank you, every single one of you, for all your support and landing all your blows. Make sure you leave a like and also subscribe to the PSGL channel as we now watch Tomek Paradzic make his way down through towards turn one. It's never been more critical, Jack Cannan. Now they've got to answer all the questions about this circuit in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, let's watch to see. So Tomek, of course, he did that previous lap on a used set for a 23.0, so he's going to improve already, nearly 2/10 up in that first sector for him. Danny Berezna is also his teammate following behind. He is also up on his time by a 1/10 of a second, but Tomek fractionally quicker in that opening sector as well for John Evans. Good opening sector from him on his first attempt around as well. He's only got one lap to get it together. So Tomek Paradzic into sector 2 in this Alfa Romeo car. Again, can see a good result in front of him. DRS Open on the way down the straight now. He'll be the first to enter into this last sector on these final laps with that DRS Open. In the Alfa Romeo, flicks in nearly 4/10 up on his best time. A little bit of understeer on entry there, sorts it out though, and gets to the next part of the corner into now the slowest section of the track here underneath the hotel, which is very expensive. None of us can afford it. Into the left-hander underneath the bridge, and then into the final two corners comes Tomek Paradzic. Again, this will be the big improvement. Well, where will it put him on the grid in his first race in PC F1 this season? Round the last corner comes Tomek Paradzic, the first to cross the line and goes to third. 22.334, excellent effort from him. Berezne is next to cross the line behind teammate for him, P5. He goes. John Evans next to cross the line. Good effort here. Third for John Evans. 22.2 for John Evans. Excellent lap for him. Luke Smith out of nowhere. 22.157 for Luke Smith in the Alpine. Can he hang on to pole position here in a stunning lap? Here comes Tom Manley next around the final corner onto the power. The young pretender goes across the line. It was a 22.384, but it is invalid in the final corner. Couple more to come. Jake Benham next on the line. The all-star coming through the last two corners in his Mercedes car. Will this be enough to topple to get in front of everybody in front? It is not. It's P5. Next across the line is Wilson Hughes. In behind, he goes to P6. Barry Borman next across the line in just a few seconds. There's Ronno at a 0.9. Thomas Ronno 21.940. Lawrence into second. Borman into second. So it's Ronnar on pole in Abu Dhabi with a 21.940. His first pole of the season. Barry Borman is behind him on the 22.0. Otis Lawrence is third on his first attempt.
Look at that, folks. Thomas Ronnar takes pole here at Abu Dhabi in PSGL for round 2. Barry Borman second quickest, plus just over 1.5 tenths. Can you believe that? Incredible lap time from Thomas Ronnar. 21, the sole man in the 121s. Otis Lawrence third fastest. He is plus 2 tenths away. A great first visit for Otis Lawrence. Luke Smith fourth. John Evans in fifth. Jake Benham sixth. Wilson Hughes in seventh, with Tomek Paradzic eighth. Tom Manley ninth. And Danny Berezne in 10th place, folks. Incredible, to say the least. Mind utterly blown here at Abu Dhabi, folks. But nevertheless, we will be back for a race. It's not over yet, folks. We're just going to take a little quick break. We'll be right back with you very, very shortly. Well, welcome back, folks, and we're about to go racing here yet again here at PSGL. I have to tell you, what a qualifying session. Q3 was unbelievable now, but I want you guys to answer me the question, who is going to win here at Abu Dhabi? Let us know in the live chat, folks. We just witnessed something very out of this world, Jack. Over a 1.5 tenths gap between Barry Borman and Thomas Ronnar. I mean, how can you comprehend that? I mean, we talk about gaps all the time. I mean, people talk about seconds, 2 seconds. Oh, they're going racing.
We don't have time, George.
We don't have time. We've got to go racing, folks. Here we go. All 5 lights are lit. And it's pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 go. And indeed, off the line, Thomas Ronnar getting the launch of his life and does lead in towards turn 1. We got 4 wide further back as well, with Danny Berezne, a mix-up there with his teammate Tomek Paradzic, as well as Ruben Pedreño and Alvaro Carreton. But Ronnar leads here, out to the first sector, heading down in towards turn 5. Borman in second, Luke Smith in third, Jake Benham up to fourth, John Evans in fifth, Otis Lawrence. I don't know what happened, Jack, but he's dropping down the field. Has he got damage?
I think he may have got damage in turn 1 there, dropping down the order. What an unfortunate start for Otis Lawrence. Yeah, he's got some front wing damage by the looks of it on that car. So Luke Smith getting up into that third position. Jake Benham in P4, John Evans holding P5. Epic start from Ronnar. Big slide though on the way down to the straight now. This may put him at risk from Barry Borman behind. Luke Smith running an excellent third place now. Borman on the attack here into the left-hander. Ronnar has to go defensive. Here comes Borman to the outside line. Won't have the space to go around there. Good defense put up by Ronnar onto the apex of that corner. Danny Berezne, he's the man to watch though, George, on medium tires, trying to make his way through the hard runners.
He certainly is. He's getting closer and closer. Here's a reminder of the tyre compounds, folks, if you haven't seen them already. Beresde on mediums. The rest of the grid order are on hard tyres. Split strategy. Danny Beresde's decided to roll the dice. He's going to go for it, but first of all needs to try and get past Wilson Hughes out to the final two corners to commence lap 2 of 29 as they work their way through Abu Dhabi. Ronha now leads, Burman in second, Luke Smith in third, Jake Benham still sits in fourth, John Evans sitting in fifth place. Beresde literally pushing Wilson Hughes through the first sector now as they ride in tandem through the snake section. Turns 1, 2, 3 and eventually 4 before deep dive in towards turn 5. Heartbreak for Otis Lawrence, who is now at the back of the field. Here comes Beresde, inside line now, and at turn 5, the Alfa Romeo up into 6th place. Gets ahead there, Wilson Hughes, operating in surreal movement there on those medium tyres, and now let's fly at John Evans.
Yeah, good move from Danny Beresde there, very assertive down the inside. Everyone keeping a holding position now. You can sort of expect it to settle down a little bit now. No moves to be made, but the only man, well, there is one man who will provide us some overtaking here is Danny Beresde. He has to get by these guys. Next up, John Evans on the run down. John Evans opening the door for him, not making it too difficult. Inside line for the left-hander, and Beresde will move it up into P5 on those mediums. It remains to be seen whether this strategy will work out for him, but as he may as well throw the dice. Everyone else is on the same one, so why not try something different? Yeah,
well, do something outside the box at the very least, and I think that's exactly what Beresde has in mind. Matthias van Urban has had a great start, P14 himself, and has managed to get ahead of Daniel Haddad as well as Max Wiesel. Manuel Biancalina down the back as well. Ishmael Fassi has had an awful start as well, 20th place. Off the back of, I think, of a dodgy start, I think, for a couple of drivers, Otis Lawrence being one of them. So now we're seeing the cars make their way through the first sector. Barry Burman still within half a second of Thomas Ronald. We can't keep our eyes off Danny Beresde at the moment on those medium tyres as they now work through the first sector. He could spring an attack out of absolutely nowhere now as we ride on board here with Beresde. Down through towards turn 5 once again. Back on the throttle, just look at how much he has gained already on Jake Benham in front. Certainly the medium tyres working well, but Benham doing well to get that exit speed out of turn 5 to get that gap back outwards again. Fassi and Lawrence also dueling it out right now, battling for respectability, but I believe Otis Lawrence, he's finally in the pits getting that tyre change and also the wing change as well. A very difficult start for the young man.
Yeah, as if he couldn't write it worse. When he came in the pits originally, didn't change his wing, and that's unfortunately the end of what was a stunning debut for Otis Lawrence. Retires, and well, that was very, very unfortunate. But again, show what he can do. We hope to see him back very, very soon. Just a very unfortunate series of events. So Otis Lawrence is the first retirement from this PC F1 race so far. Danny Beresde trying to make these medium tyres work early on. Going to struggle now with everyone else having DRS in front of him. Ronnar still out front though, still controlling everything very nicely. Barry Burman sitting in second behind, and then Luke Smith in third place, running in one of his best positions that he's run in for a good while. Jake Benham sitting in P4. As I remember, Jake second in the championship, needs to keep consistent points scoring going here. Lap 4 of 29. He's going to settle in quite a lot here. Danny Beresde going to struggle now to get by any further without burning up too much ERS. And of course those mediums will start to go off quicker than the hard tyres in front. So he has to make good use of these medium tyres without losing too much time to the rest of the cars in front. So let's see what he's able to do. Not using any ERS, settling in behind right now. But let's see, is this as far as he's able to go?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Ron Haas still leads, though, with Barry Burman probing in behind as they venture through the next chicane. Obviously, they've got another stretch to go, where, of course, DRS will open up for Barry Burman. The streak of cars in behind as well. Luke Smith in what no doubt can be declared one of his strongest qualifying performances to date. Now up into third and still chasing after Barry Burman, with Jake Benham also in hot pursuit of Luke Smith. Danny Beresde getting a rocket of a start on the medium compound as well, with John Evans still sitting in sixth. Parajic also rooming up on Tom Manley. But again, we said before, both AlphaTauris in the top 10, Manley and Pedreño, with Will Lewis as well in 11th. Will Lewis also got a great start as well. Jack, remember, he got eliminated in Q1 as well.
Yeah, up to P11, making good use, and is now up behind Ruben Pedreño in the AlphaTauris. A good start from him, and Caraton not making any ground from where he began his race. But up front, it's complete management scenario for both of them. Neither of them have used an ounce of ERS up at the front. Luke Smith as well hasn't used too much either, sticking with them and not baiting himself into using too much ERS. Very wide from Boorman through the hairpin there, losing a good few tenths. The Ronar in front may have to just boost a little bit to get on, and that is Ishmael Fassi's second retirement. It's a torrid 2 races really for Ishmael Fassi, and unfortunately now is the second retirement from this race on lap number 5. But I'll tell you what, I'm very interested in the difference in setup here, because Barry Boorman's car is incredibly fast in the straight line, but again Ronar has the advantage through the corners, so maybe again a strategic choice. Very low wing I think on Barry Boorman's car, and that's what's keeping him in touch here.
It is, and within 0.3 of a second as well. It is the closest gap on this classification right now, bar Tomek Paradzic and Tom Manley as well. That battle has been proceeding all race long, but we've still got a long way to go, and pit stops still yet to be applied as well. Ron Haar around the final 2 corners now as they venture through turn 15 and 16 to commence lap 6 of 29. The McLaren in behind as well, with Luke Smith in 3rd, not to mention Jake Benham in 4th as well, trying to work his way through. Danny Perezde in 5th, John Evans in 6th place. Wilson Hughes also trying to give chase, with Manley in 8th as well. Paradzic, who has been probing that AlphaTauri, still working hard in the Alfa Romeo to try and bring that gap down and follow the lead of his teammate Danny Perezde, who has really gone to work on those medium tyres. Now up to 5th place now after overtaking Wilson Hughes and John Evans on the opening of this race as well. Bianca Lila has in fact tailed off from the others as well. I'm guessing he must have been involved in an incident as well, Jack.
Yeah, I think he was caught up in a bit of a turn 1 skirmish. I know Philip Preschnader was facing the wrong way in turn 1, so maybe something that occurred there. But again, Boorman's super close to Ronar through the chicane. But again, just being patient, not using any ERS. He's just using the DRS again to keep him in front. You can see how close he will get here. Ronar keeping the inside there. Boorman, does he go for it? No. Sticks behind, but you can see how fast that McLaren is down the straight. There's Paradzic versus Tom Manley through the left-hander. Manley trying to get through on the inside, and it does get through. But again, that simple move right there, and that is them out of DRS. He's going to have to work to get back into the DRS of Wilson Hughes up in front. That shouldn't take too much time, and there he goes with Tom Manley up into 8th position. With a nice move on Paradzic.
Yeah, back in DRS as well. Tom Manley, who's no doubt used some of the energy to get himself back in proximity of Wilson Hughes so he can open up the DRS down the long main straight. Well, I say long main straight, it's one of the shorter straights on the track. Of course, we've got a longer one, the back straight. Of course, well, 2 long straights here at Abu Dhabi. One of them obviously leads into the latter sector at sector 3. As they now head through now the first sector itself, they'll weave through the next section. And as we look back at the top end of things, Ron Haar still leads the charge, with Boorman in behind. Many of the other cars getting closer. Danny Perezde also urging closer and closer to Jake Benham in 4th place. But it might be now, Jack, that we start to see perhaps the medium tyres starting to trip up a little bit. It's quite aggressive on tyres, at least it used to be in Abu Dhabi. Probably helps it a little bit now, though, being a little bit more flowing, do you think?
Yeah, you would think so, without the extra chicanes in it. And of course, it was resurfaced as well. So we have to wait and see. But again, he's going to have to pit before everybody else in front of him. The question is, when does he do that, and how long will those medium tyres last? As Carrots on with a move on Will Lewis around the outside. He's decided to go there side by side through the left-hander. Will he stick it in right there? Lewis is going to run him out of road there on the exit, but he'll keep his foot in on the inside into the next sector. And there's Carrots on up into P11. You can always assume, you always get shown that outside if you try to go around the outside of the exit there. But Will Lewis, you see how close he is right there, pushing him through. But Carrots on actually giving him the place back, because he felt he took the advantage off the circuit and had to let him back through again. So he's going to have to make the move all over again. Yeah, great gentleman lead display there from Alvaro Carreton. Now down into 12th, with Will Lewis now back up to 11th spot. He's chasing after Ruben Pedreño. And now that gap is now outside the DRS window. Will Lewis has now got to work extra hard to try and pull it all the way back in. So big opportunity once again here for Carreton, with Iker Boehner in behind in the Red Bull, not far behind either, as they venture now through turn 5. As they now put the foot to the floor yet again. Will Lewis currently sat in that 11th spot, obviously working to try and get points this season. Will Lewis coming off the back of a disappointing Australia. He won't want 2 difficult races in a row, as we now see them come side by side. Alvaro Carreton smoothly does it now, and he moves up into 11th place. So there we have it, and he certainly won't give that one back, Jack. Well, I said neither will this one. Here comes Barry on Ronar around the outside of the left-hander, same position. Ronar does not fight him, but Barry getting it round the outside into the left-hander, and Barry Burman takes the lead of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Decided to go for it, didn't use any ERS either. He has got a super low downforce set up on that car. Flew by him and was in front of him before the start. Now I can see obviously this again happened in Australia, remember, when he decided to take the lead towards the end and managed to manage it out front. But now this may open the door for Ronar to try something, try an undercut or something out just behind. But Barry Burman for the first time leads the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Yeah, and the one thing about Abu Dhabi, opportunities are there to be opened up when the strategy comes through. Let's not forget that Wilson Hughes might have a part to play in this as well. Obviously working together with the McLaren teammates. We saw it again in Abu Dhabi. Obviously the pair would work together, Barry and of course Lucas Blakely on that occasion. Such a wonderfully put together team. Of course ran by the likes of Tobin Lee and George Simmons, who will be working together to try and get this team up to the top end of things. And not to mention all the hard work that's been put in with the staff as well, the likes of Antoine Desalewski, Jonah Martins, many others that have certainly taken precedence to help the drivers achieve their very best in the world of F1 esports. Barry Burman now on top. They're within half a second though is Thomas Ronhart, who will no doubt go and track the young Iranian as he now comes through this next lap. They've got the latter sector to come as well. Currently sat McLaren, Haas, Alpine, got Mercedes there in fourth as well with Alfa Romeo. John Evans is what looks to be the Aston Martin in sixth as well, ahead of Wilson Hughes. A very, very good display in terms of qualifying from John Evans in his last two outings. Had a real difficult race in Australia, but looking a lot better on this occasion, Jack.
Yeah, definitely. This is a good showing from everybody. Luke Smith as well, very good showing from him so far. And it's not like he's struggling to stay there either. Hasn't used an ounce of ERS and is very comfortably sitting behind Burman and Ronar up at the front of the order here. As is Bereze. Bereze's mediums hanging on quite nicely here in P5. Hasn't been able to make progress, but again has been saving up ERS. But you would imagine, again, he's going to have to pit before everybody else in front, everybody else getting the hard tyres out of the way early on as the sun begins to go down and head into dark conditions towards the end of the race, of course. But Barry out front, and you can see now 0.6 of a second and is very much in control out front at the moment with that setup that he's got on. But again, driving very well, feeling that he could go ahead, and you can see not as much time given Ronar. How close was he on the brakes right there? You can see the difference. He's got the pace through the corners, but again, this will be frustrating as there's incident behind. Is that John Evans? It is John Evans. He may have gone round in the chicane and is now pulling off to the left-hand side. Seems to have had an issue there. John Evans is running so well. Yeah, Bereze, was there contact there? Remember, Bereze was behind John Evans coming through there. Oh, that is a shame if there's been contact there, but that is an unfortunate end to those guys' races. Yeah, well, Wilson Hughes now, as a consequence, is outside DRS of Jake Benham. So this is now let the top four career away and might yet allow Tom Manley to have a go at Wilson Hughes here, because Paratis as well joining in the fight. We've got two groups almost now. Two different groups with DRS, and this could be only what this race needs, to be fair, in order for Wilson Hughes to now come under threat of Tom Manley, because he doesn't have DRS down the long straight. If he stays outside of that second gap, it's sat at 1.1. You can just see him frantically going to work to try and bring it back in. And there you can see him now. We're coming through the first sector. Turn 5 will be up next. Jake Benham in front of him. The gap's still stagnant at 1.1. And I don't think he's going to have DRS here, Jack. And John Evans has retired from the session. Yeah, third retirement from the race, and yeah, he will not have DRS, but he's got a big gap. You can see Tom Manley has not had a good exit there. He's down to 1.3 behind, so he's not going to get any benefit. So Tom Manley also does not have DRS. Wilson Hughes did enough to break away there, but Wilson Hughes trying to get himself onto the back of the lead train now at the front of the field. You can see them just in front, Benham just in front by 0.4 of a second. And it's getting a little bit more frantic now. You can sort of feel it in the air that there's some changes going on here. Tom Manley dropping back. He's struggling with the ERS charge now in that Alpha Tauri. Wilson Hughes having to use a lot to try and get back in, and still on the 1.1 second bracket there, and is going to struggle here to get into DRS range. Maybe this is the opportunity now through the windy section underneath the hotel, but just outside it at the moment. dips into it now, but needs to stay there. But when he gets to the hairpin, inside DRS now, the straight, of course, not a DRS section, so he's going to have to try and stay there. You'll have a bit of a distant slipstream, but he'll have burnt a lot of ERS to get up there. He's in there now, so that'll be a relief to him, but he's used up a good chunk of his ERS to get there.
Yeah, absolutely right. I tell you, one man who has basically had his race ended is Danny Berezny, starting on the medium tyre. Of course, it was vitally important that he managed to make the gains on the medium in the first stint, but now, of course, being moved to the back, it's going to be that much harder for Danny Berezny to utilise a strategy that can help him get into contention of this race. Thomas Ronhaar now looking to close on Burman again, not looking for the overtake on this occasion, but lurching down towards the next chicane. Just see how late he is on the brakes, just getting closer and closer in behind Barry Burman. But then, of course, the exit is where he loses it again with the wings that obviously Barry Burman has on display. It allows him to career onwards, and he is now able to spring that gap out to 0.4 of a second between him and Thomas Ronhaar. Of course, further down now, Wilson Hughes able to plug the gap between him and Jake Benham, and it's brought Tom Manley into the fight as well. But now the pressure is on Tomek Paradzic because he's outside a second, and he's got Ruben Pedreño breathing down his neck.
Yeah, he's got basically no ERS. Ruben Pedreño has got plenty in that car. You can see the red light flashing on Paradzic's car, obviously showing that he is low on ERS charge compared to Pedreño. There's Matthias van Erven with the first penalty in this race. I think it was one earlier, but again, it's the first one of cars that are currently on the track. So lap 13 of 29, laps ticking down very quickly in this race. And let's see who will be the first to blink of the top guys here for a pit stop. It's Iker Beina with the second penalty of the race so far. Now, Paradzic is just getting into DRS at the detection point there, so he's in behind Tom Manley as well. So there is a big train. The entire field is in the train for the top 15, and then Danny Berezny, who's made his pit stop now after that unfortunate instance between himself, we think, himself and John Evans. He's onto the hard tyres now, and he's the first to pit. Ronhaar challenging Borman up front, 2 tenths behind him, but again, not much between them here as they cross over. Ronhaar not thinking about a move, still sitting behind. Plenty of cut track penalties starting to come through now. Still very much management up front for Barry Borman. He's not using ERS, but you can see Ronhaar just chomping at the bit to try and get through here.
Yeah, absolutely right. He still remains just over 2.5 tenths in behind that of Barry Burman, and always seems to find touching distance of his rear wing coming into the corner, obviously hitting the apex. Ronhaar, I have to tell you, he's been absolutely imposing all season long so far. I mean, I appreciate we've only had 2 races, but his qualifying lap times have been nothing short of sensational. Obviously, if he hadn't had the slip up at Australia, it could have been a very different story. But as we're now seeing Caraton now look to go ahead now as we see the pit stops being applied. Many more cars coming in. Max Wiesel has retired as well, so more cars leaving the session.
Safety car.
And we've got a safety car as well, no doubt caused by Max Wiesel at this point. And I believe he's binned it right at the straight as well.
Yeah, he has. He's been, where is he? Yeah, he's crashed that out of the final corner. Max Wiesel brings out the first safety car in this race. And, well, Pedreño came in right at the right time, didn't he? But unfortunately, everyone else is going to get the benefit of that now with that pit stop. So, Ruben Pedreño, Iker Beina, everyone that pitted under the safety car there came out right as they came into the pit lane. And there is Max Wiesel, unfortunately, out of the race, crashing in the final corner. And now that'll trigger the pit stops in this race. Let's see. I imagine everybody is going to come in. Maybe somebody may decide to try something completely different, but we can expect now no sign of undercuts in this one, so they'll bring everybody onto the same sort of strategy here. Interesting stuff. First safety car of the season, and it came at Abu Dhabi. I was expecting it last week, honestly, in Australia, but first one comes at Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, absolutely. And here are the places gained and lost. Will Lewis up 8 places further back. He's one of the main movers. Matthias van Erven up 9 places. He's now in the top 10 as well. Obviously, a couple of drivers have made stops of their own. With Manuel Biancalila, of course, up 2. Iker Beina up 1. We've got Tom Manley as well, who's had a good race so far. Yet again, in comes Barry Burman, and he'll come in for his first stop as well. And there you can see the stoppages there. Manuel Biancalila already doing his second stop. With Danny Berezny also already stopping earlier on. Now he's on the hard tyres, Jack, I believe. So there's questions here. Could Berezny potentially go to the end?
Potentially, he's going to have to try. He's going to have to try something. It was a double stack at McLaren with Wilson Hughes, so they've managed to time that, I think, just about right. Comes out behind
Perez's not going to benefit this, you know.
He's not. But we look at Pedreño. Look at the benefit he's getting. Up to P5 after all of those pit stops. That worked out beautifully for Ruben Pedreño.
Yeah, and ahead of Tom Manley as well. So incredible, to say the least. In fact, the two teammates are together, so you've got to give credit to the Alfa Romeo team. Not the Alfa Romeo team, sorry, the AlphaTauri team. They pulled a worldie at this point, lap 15 of 29. Pedreño in 5th, Manley in 6th, Parajic in 7th, Iker Boehner in 8th, Wilson Hughes in 9th, and then of course Alvaro Carreton, who was right up at the top end of things, obviously when we had qualifying, now 10th place with Boehner in his first start in PCF1, of course moving along from F2 where he was certainly spearheading that championship alongside his teammate Ismail Fassi over there. Of course the same could not be said for Ismail Fassi. DNF'd earlier on in the race. Real big shame to lose him as well, but we're now seeing the cars get themselves lined up in behind the Mercedes safety car here. And no doubt we're going to be back underway for the final, what can only be described as the final laps here at this stage. 14 laps to go here at Abu Dhabi, and all the cars in the top 11 on medium tyres, with Matthias van Erven on the softs. We've got Daniel Haddad on mediums, Prejneda going for mediums as well. Not sure I see the reasoning for Matthias van Erven on the softs with still 14 laps to go, but I'm sure it'll be box office, Jack Canan.
Yeah, it's an interesting strategy call, but again, we could see another safety car. You never know; could work out.
It's true.
You have to try something.
Takes away some of the tyre deg, I suppose, through the race, because there will be a couple of laps at least sustained by the safety car.
Exactly. Yeah. So you can expect these guys now. They'll have the chance to save tyres behind the safety car, and well, it'll be almost a 10-lap sprint then towards the end of this race between these guys. So it's Bormann in the lead. Rodar in second.
Well, Matthias is in.
Well, that's the end of that. So Matthias van Erven.
Mystery solved.
Mystery solved. So obviously a mistake to put on the soft tyres there for Matthias van Erven. In he comes, and there'll be a fresh set of mediums waiting for him. Thankfully, he doesn't lose as much as he would if he'd done that in the during the race period. So he's going to just join at the back of the field in that Haas car. So we've had now about a lap under safety car. Might have another lap, I think, potentially behind it. If not, could come in this lap. But it'll be Bormann in control of the field now. And the question is, does Ronar go for it immediately, or does he sit behind and be patient? What about Luke Smith as well, running third, and has remained there and has looked completely solid in that third place. Doesn't look like he's having any issues whatsoever, enjoying himself in third place. Benham and, well, Pedreño got nothing to lose now, up in P5. That's worked out beautifully for him. So watch out for Pedreño.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. I mean, Pedreño could be one of the sharp contenders here. Tom Manley as well. The two AlphaTauris speak about it all the time, how much of an underdog they really are, but such a great pairing that we came into at the start of the season, and we very much did rank them very highly as our eye catchers this season. The safety car is coming in this lap, folks, I can confirm, and there you can see Barry Burman just backing off away as the safety car makes its way through sector 3. And it won't be long before we go racing yet again. Thomas Ronhard getting his tyres nice and warm, and Luke Smith as well doing the same. Jake Benham will be looking to get a big launch as well. Let's see what the AlphaTauris can do with Parajic as well in behind, folks, as we now await the drivers to get back to it. We'll be going racing again here in lap, well, we're currently in lap 16. It will be lap 17 when we get back underway. Boromand slowing down to a crawl with Thomas Ronhart in behind. It's going to be certainly only 13 laps of magic to bring you folks until the very end of this Grand Prix. Here we go now, and for the second time we'll put pedal to the metal here in the PSGL Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and Barry Burman leads the charge. Thomas Ronhart in behind as well with Luke Smith. Look at the gap though in between Benham and Pedreño. That went out probably a little wider than Pedreño would have liked, but Burman now with just over a 1.5 advantage is now looking to keep Ronhart at bay. They head down towards turn 5, both of them on medium sets of tyres. You can always see Ronhart pushing him through turn 5 now, down towards this long straight. They'll make their way down towards this next left-hander. Of course now, opening the door goes Thomas Ronhart, side by side now. The driver that would certainly try and compete with Lucas Blakely for the title. Ronhard now leads here at Abu Dhabi. Buraman though exiting now out of the chicane, wheel to wheel, side by side, nose to tail, it doesn't matter, because now once again Buraman giving chase now as they venture down towards the next left. As they do so, side by side now between that of Ronhar and Buraman as they go nose to tail. Ronhar on top of this stage. Jack, what a firecracker start here after the safety car.
Yeah, I think Ronhar was indecisive whether he was going to go for the move, but did decide to do it in the end. No DRS, of course, in this one. So good defense put up by Ronhar. Now going to try and get away under this advantage of no DRS. Ronhar leads then as they come on to lap number 18 of 29. And remember, folks, Ronhar's never won in PCF1. I know it's shocking, but he's never won. And let's see if he can convert it today. Lap 18 to 29. Now going to try and use that ERS to try and get away from Buraman. All remains the same behind. Luke Smith in third, Benham in fourth. Pedreño still holding fifth, under pressure though from Tom Manley, his teammate behind in the AlphaTauri. Then it's Paradzic in P7, Baynout, Hughes and Caraton in P10. So we still have a couple of laps to go, of course, so plenty that can happen. And remember, that low downforce set on Barry Buraman's car, keep him in touch of Ronhar out front, as you can see him being dragged along there with the slipstream in that McLaren. Still plenty to come here, but interesting strategy for Ronhar to go for it. He sat behind and then thought about it and then decided, yeah, I'll go for it, I can hang on to this. And Buraman, well, didn't really fight him too hard. And when it came into the left-hander as well, did decide to go for the inside, swung out to the right-hand side and almost let Ronhar have it. So is this another case of management from Buraman, or was it a mistake to let him through so early?
It could well have been. We'll have to wait and see whether Buraman can pull it back. The Wilson Hughes really being the aggressor here on Ika Boehner as they now head through the latter sector as well. Was getting as close to within a tenth of a second as well, literally pushing the Red Bull here around Abu Dhabi as well. But Ronhar cannot be stopped, leads the way. Buraman in second, Luke Smith in third, Jake Benham in fourth as well. The two AlphaTauris currently lining up together with Paradzic in behind those as well. DRS has now been made enabled by race control here, and now the cars will make their way down. Great chance for Buraman to retake the lead that he lost after the safety car got back underway. Ronhar now in front though, as we look at things right now with 10 laps left here at Abu Dhabi. Ronhar now careering away. He's almost out to 7 tenths. He's really pushing now, Jack. 7.5 tenths now.
Yeah, he's trying to get away, but again, the DRS will be enabled this lap. This will just drag Barry right back into it. Luke Smith sitting nicely in third, then Benham and Pedreño. So no real changes. And again, we only have 10 laps to go. So it's a case of when he decided to go for it, Luke Smith very deep into the chicane, nearly actually went into the back of Buraman on the brakes there, now losing a chunk of time to the cars in front. We'll have to gain that back on the way down the straight. So all very settled up front for the moment. I reckon it's going to stay like this. This is almost a mirror image of Australia. Buraman tailing Ronhar. When does he go for it?
Well, that's the big question. I mean, he will have DRS. That's the only weapon he has at his disposal here at this point, which will give him the opportunity to make that crucial overtake for the lead. But just look at this, all the drivers now after that safety car, close proximity, nothing separates them. 16 cars remain here at Abu Dhabi. Yas Marina, absolutely electric under the floodlights. Big thank you to all of you at home as well for tuning in for this sensational race. Ronhar leads now, lap 20 of 29. Buraman now giving chase. With DRS opened up now, he can certainly go for the attack, but needs to get closer if he wants to try and get past that of Thomas Ronhar. Smith is well in third, with Jake Benham just watching all this unfold in behind too. Pedreño and Manley, the two teammates together, still as they were when the safety car got back underway. Tomo Paradzic is well in behind. Ronhar though, streaking down this home straight, 9 laps to go. He's still in front. Buraman has still got to try and find some ground. He's knocking at that wood, but he needs more, Jack Canan.
He does, yeah. He's being very patient. Closes up on the brakes through here. Ronhar will have the legs on the exit. You'll see him just get away on the exit right there. You can see with that extra grip that he's got on those tyres down towards the left-hander now. You can see Buraman getting closer again. That straight is just not long enough for him to capitalise, but you can see how quick that McLaren is in a straight line. So it'll be a patient Barry Buraman like we saw in Australia.
But just seeing now, sorry to interrupt, Jack, we're just seeing Wilson Hughes and Alvaro Caraton coming together. Ika Boehner as well, not to mention, should I say, Ika Boehner. And we went side by side with Wilson Hughes through the final sector. They were wheel to wheel. Nothing could split them, but Ika Boehner able to hold back the tirade of that McLaren, getting so close as they now venture through the third sector. But nevertheless, it is still Hughes pushing Boehner now down this next long straight. That feud is far from done.
Yeah, the only problem is for Boehner is that he's got a penalty, so he's going to drop right down to the back of the field with that penalty so far. So Wilson Hughes needs to be just very patient here. Again, it's all about constructors' points as well. Needs to keep the point scoring for McLaren up as well. And that's exactly what he will do as well. He's a P9 at the moment, which would be P8 after penalties, but would like to get some more ground. Obviously lost out because of the double stack with Barry earlier on and wasn't able to capitalise as a result of that. But you can see, just had a quick look up to the front again. Barry lifting down the end of the straight. Does not want to overtake Ronar too early on. Doesn't want to make the mistake because he knows Ronar is incredibly fast around here, and he'll find a way through once again. Comes out of the slipstream again. You can see not wanting to overtake, is sitting behind and is waiting for the perfect opportunity. Has not used an ounce of ERS. Got 100% battery as well. This is biding his time super well, and is already thinking about, I'm sure he's in discussion with the engineers as well. When are they going to go for this move?
Yeah, more and more now we're seeing it, teams adopting a very professional method when it comes to league racing. F1 Esports has since met PSGL over the last season or so. We've seen it climb and climb and rise so much, with the best in the world now looking to adopt league racing into their development strategy. Young drivers looking to get signed by the best teams in the world here. And at Abu Dhabi, we're witnessing the best in the world dueling out here for the race win at Yas Marina. As they head through the first sector, Ronha still holds the advantage, but Barry Burman, with just over half a second in behind, will still have the benefit of DRS in order to challenge his title contender counterpart from F1 Esports last season as they now work their way down. Remember, it's Burman with the one win to his name this season after a wonderful display at Australia, where the two would certainly duke it out for that first win of the season. Burman continuing his great record and run that we have since seen in the past few years at PCF1 here at PSGL. Ronha now exiting that Eustacia chicane, coming through this next left at turn 8 and down towards turn 9 as well. The in-swinger, where we'll soon see them flow their way through sector 3. Ronha in front, 2/10 back now. Burman, who's knocking at that wood, trying to challenge Ronha around every apex, just waiting for the right moment to strike. This is exactly what we've been waiting for. 7 laps to go. I tell you what, this could be yet magic.
Certainly could, yeah. There's still plenty of time still to go in this race when we consider that. Remember, the moves didn't happen till quite late on in the last race either, so keep your eyes peeled for this. Of course, the safety car probably actually didn't help in the regard that nobody's tried a different strategy. Everyone's on the same one, and it's remained the same throughout this race. So we just got to hope that the drivers are going to provide us with some entertainment towards the end, which I'm absolutely sure they will. Tom Manley getting very close to his teammate now, actually, as Matthias Van Erven picks up a second penalty. Manley in behind Pedreño. He might feel like he wants to get past on into this next part of the straight. Pedreño closing up to Benham as well, just behind. So does Manley feel like he's the quicker AlphaTauri at this point? Does he go for a move? No, not using any ERS, sitting behind for now, but you can see it is going to be very, very tight indeed as to who will go for this move. Luke Smith still hanging on to the top 2 for now. Lap 23 of 29, laps ticking down, and it is going to be quite a late move, I would feel. If there is one at all, I'm sure there will be one, but Barry Borman still sitting behind, no moves being made. Smith hanging behind as well. He's just got to hope, really, for an instant up front, because it's going to be very tight to get through. If those guys start battling up front, well, then he could be right back in it, but he's being patient in that third place, wants to get himself back onto the podium.
Yeah, well, this is patience, Jack. The strategical game is afoot. It doesn't change whether it's the pit stop or if it's on track. Really, if you look at it on paper, the way the drivers drive their cars, certainly when it comes to esports, they utilize this method of just sitting behind cars, just striking at the appropriate moment, because they know it will maximize their opportunities to win this Grand Prix. Ronha, of course, will look to try and control the race, but with Buraman having that DRS, he knows that he can use it to his advantage, his disposal, and might even opt to do it on the final lap, which will no doubt give us a real dramatic moment towards the end. Ronha, though, still leads. Buraman in behind as well. The gap now still sits at beyond 0.5 of a second. It's coming back in now, and certainly Buraman trying to urge his car closer and closer. He's almost broken DRS on Luke Smith in behind as well, getting closer and closer to Thomas Ronha, almost pushing him into the next chicane. I get the feeling that Ronha would almost want to forfeit the lead at this point, because he doesn't want to be on the end of DRS coming towards the closing stages of this race. They come out now through towards this next left, rounding turn 8, soon towards turn 9. Buraman getting so close, he might even try to open the door, stays behind. He's waiting for the right moment. He's like a viper, he's waiting to strike.
Yeah, Ronha almost wants him to go through, like you said. You can see he's almost leaving the door open in each corner. He's inviting him through. Ronha would much rather be in that second position at this point, but again, that is the way the safety car restart worked out. Buraman didn't fight him when he went for the move, and in the end, Ronha now is out front at the moment, so it is across the line to begin lap number 25 of 29. Buraman, you would say, has the advantage at this moment in time, but is not going to go for that move anytime soon. Luke Smith starting to lose a tiny bit of touch with the top guys at the moment. 0.8 the gap is at now, but is still in DRS. Benham as well, holding station in P4. Again, he's second in the championship. He wants to just keep maximising his point score at the moment, and third in the championship as well is Wilson Hughes at the moment. He finished third last time out, down in P9 with P8 after penalties. It will be for him. You see again, Buraman will close up again, and again will sit behind. No way through, doesn't want to make his way through. There is some swapping of positions there. Preschnader on Van Erven down the straight. No way, no fight put up by Van Erven right there, and Preschnader as well. He is also laden with penalties as well. Caraton in P10 with penalties, with Will Lewis up into P10. As we begin now, lap 26 of 29 it'll be, and we will see how this race is going to end. You'd almost say it looks like it's a done deal at this point with the pace that Barry has down the straight and the ERS charge that he has. Ronhar's not going to have a lot to answer with.
No, not at all. I'm just looking in the bottom right-hand mirror. That, of course, being Matthias Van Erven, who got overtaken by Philip Preschnader in our last lap. As we now commence yet another one indeed. Lap 26 of 29. Thomas Ronha still with the advantage. Of course, Matthias Van Erven's teammate at Haas, both of them representing the team in white. They both work together in F1 esports as well. Matthias Van Erven, who has been part of that team now for 2 consecutive seasons, with Ronha committing to his debut season with the team in his first run in F1 esports that was oh so successful, and a race winner at such a tender time of his career. Also stands a chance of being a champion in his own right as well. As we now see Buraman, as we ride on board with him, head down through towards the next chicane. Side by side they go. Here comes Buraman now for the lead of the race here in Abu Dhabi. Almost squeezes Ronha to the right-hand side, but he might have another chance for the switchback. He will have DRS down this next straight as well. So brace yourself, folks. We're going to be in for a grandiose ride. Here comes Ronha, and here comes now Barry Buraman. Through the next left they go, side by side. Nothing separates them, but Ronha with enough to keep Buraman at bay. Dueling here at Yas Marina. This is what we came to see.
Yeah, I think this might be a little bit trickier than Barry would have foreseen here. He needs to do it on the back straight where he's got the advantage. But again, Ronha defending nicely through that part of the circuit. So let's see, has Buraman left it too late, or is it a case now of an inevitability? He's got to find a way through. He's got the pace advantage, but he's got to find a way through, which is the hard part. Again, you can see Ronha was much later on the brakes into that chicane left-hander. A big moment for Buraman through the right left-hander. He's pushing now and almost threw it all the way through the left-hander. Huge oversteer moment for Buraman. That will cost him some time, and that will certainly could end up at the end of the day making it very difficult for him to make this move now. Ronha with a 6/10, 7/10 advantage. This is tricky now for Buraman. He's got to work his way back through. up towards the back end of Thomas Ronnar, but you'll see now, absolutely flying up towards the rear end of Thomas Ronnar, into the left-hander now. Ronnar will defend this move into the left-hander, but Boorman's going to make this move sooner rather than later. Again, good exit from Ronnar, and he's going to have to start now pushing towards this position, up towards the left-hander. He won't have enough now. He's got to settle back in, but that oversteer moment, that will have shaken him a little bit.
Make him think, Jack, obviously, and he naturally, no doubt being a race winner at Australia doesn't necessarily entitle you to be a race winner here at Abu Dhabi. But looking at his ERS situation, Boorman has plenty in the tank. He's got lots to play with. He was able to recover the deficit so quickly. And now on lap 27, soon to be lap 28, the penultimate lap is upcoming next, folks. 3-second time penalty for Matthias van Erven now, as we see the cars round the final corner. Now commencing lap 28, the penultimate lap for this Grand Prix, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix here at the PSGL PC Championship. And going wide again, he's made another mistake. Barry Boorman, could this be the spoke in the wheel now for the great Uranian, who is now very nearly losing tread on his car, literally over the curbs, off the track. He is struggling here, Jack Kinnan. Could this be the end?
Well, this will be the push lap now, ERS enabled. Here comes Boorman. This is the attack now, you would assume. Down towards the left-hander now. Does he go for it now, or does he sit behind and wait again for the next straight? He's thinking about it. Here he comes. Here comes Boorman for the lead of the race. Down the inside, and Benham's going for it on Luke Smith in the back as well. Double move as Boorman takes the lead. Has Benham made the move on Smith? No, he hasn't. But now the scrap begins. Lap and a half to go. Boorman to the lead. Ronnar now has got a big task in front of him in the background. Here comes Benham on Luke Smith. Does he go for the move? Outside line for Benham. Trying to go all around the outside. The camber will not help him there. Trying to switch back underneath Luke Smith, but defends it nicely. Smith trying to hang on for his first podium in this tier so far, and Benham has to give him the position, and into third stays Thomas Ronnar. But now about a lap and a half to go. This is still not over. Boorman's got the advantage though. Now he's going to lead with 1 lap to go.
He certainly will. The last lap is now upon us, folks, and it's two battles happening, and both of them are for podium places. Boorman now takes them down towards turn 1 for the final lap of this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix here at PSGL. Ronnar in second, Smith in third, Benham in hot pursuit as well. And now you can see the gap starting to get strung out. Luke Smith more concerned about defending Jake Benham than he is attacking Thomas Ronnar. Two different fights. The podium's on the line.
Oh, there's contact!
Now, and certainly they have gone close. And Thomas Ronnar now will open up the door, but DRS opened up. And now in comes the Dutchman. Thomas Ronnar now looking to take the lead of the race. He's got a wing in front, 2 tyres in front, 4 tyres in front. Back with a switchback. It's Barry Boorman. Incredible scenes here as they come through now towards turn 8. Boorman now in front, Ronnar in second. It's all pandemonium here on the final lap, Jack Kinnan.
There's Ronnar to the outside line now. Is this the move now? This is his final opportunity. Right to the outside line of the left-hander. He's got more downforce. Contact through the corner. Boorman is in front. Losing the rear end goes Ronnar. Luke Smith is looking for it now on the inside into the stadium section. Boorman is in front. It came to blows through the first couple of corners and in the middle sector. Ronnar's got the extra wing. Can he make this work? There's only 2 more corners to go. Will Boorman go back to back through the final 2 corners they come? He's got the advantage. He left it late. He's done it again. Barry Boorman wins the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Luke Smith goes wide in the final corner and just hangs on to third place. Barry Boorman has gone back to back in PSGL. He wins the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Absolutely class.
He hasn't done it since season 28, but he's done it again. Barry Boorman, a race winner at Abu Dhabi, 2 in a row here in the PSGL PC Championship, and he's done it in style. A grandiose duel, we all expected it. Coming up towards the final lap, it was between Ronnar and Barry dueling it out on that final lap, but it was Barry Boorman out on top. And how about that duel between Jake Benham and that of Luke Smith as well, Jack? That was also box office.
Certainly wasn't. Luke Smith hung on to third by the smallest of margins. And look at the gap between Pedreño and Benham. 16 thousandths across the line between Jake Benham and Ruben Pedreño. A great effort for him in P5, you have to say. Tom Manley finishing in P6, Paragic in P7, Wilson Hughes P8. And Will Lewis from 17th up to P9, and Daniele Haddad getting points as well for Williams in P10. But again, absolutely stunning race between those two. Contact between them into the hairpin. There was more contact between them in the left-hander as well, wheel-to-wheel contact throughout. And yeah, absolutely brilliant stuff from Barry Borman. Has gone back-to-back and is putting himself with a gap early on in this championship. Championship rival, of course, is Jake Benham, again with a solid result in P4, but that gap in the championship is now widening.
Something's never changed, Jack. Barry Burman on top now for the second time this season. After a wonderful race at Australia, he's capped it off with another stunning performance. This time, it was a side-by-side confrontation with Thomas Ronhaar on the final lap. Ronhaar second, Luke Smith, great performance in third, Jake Benham fourth, Pedreño in fifth. Of course, Manley 6th, Parazis in 7th, Hughes in 8th, Will Lewis a top 10 finish in 9th with Daniele Haddad. That is your top 10, folks. An incredible race and one that will surely live long in the memory. And I'm sure there's going to be one man that's going to be delighted with that. And that, of course, is Barry Burman, Jack, because naturally you couldn't get a better start to the season. 2 from 2. One has to wonder, can he go 3 from 3?
You have to wonder, you know, he done it before. The last time we had, I think the longest winning streak we had was almost, I think, 4 in a row for race wins. So let's see if he can do that. It's a tough ask, of course, but each time both races have been exactly the same. It's been Borman behind Ronhaar on the final lap, or going on towards the last few laps, and Borman just has the management to sit behind and wait for his opportunity, and he's gone 2 from 2. And again, the winless streak for Ronhaar continues. What does he have to do to win?
It's mind-blowing. It's boggling. I'll tell you one person who's here, though. It is none other than Luke Smith. So we're gonna bring Luke Smith in with us now, folks. And what a performance from this young man as well. Joined by the man from Alpine, Luke Smith, in with us in the commentary box. Luke, an incredible race from yourself, mate. Probably the best performance I think I've seen you, certainly when I've been commentating. A 3rd place at Yas Marina, and I think it all really started after what can only be described as probably one of your better qualifying performances.
Yeah, firstly, hello everyone. It's nice to be here. It's been too long, I'll be honest.
It feels that way.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you.
yeah, it really has been. Obviously, F1 Esports was like quite a different experience. And I think it was more difficult to actually nail a lap in qualifying, which would have put me like towards the front where I was today. And even the lap I did wasn't like the best lap I've ever done, but I think it's more about just like doing a good enough job when it matters. You don't have to do the perfect job when it matters, but so long as you can deliver something that will get you up the front, then that's the really crucial thing. But yeah, my race was it wasn't lonely, like you may have seen with Jake, of course. But
definitely not lonely,
yeah.
From what we saw towards the end.
Yeah, yeah, definitely not. But yeah, it was a nice race, to be honest. Obviously got Otis on the start. I think he had, obviously he was like quite inexperienced with like such a high caliber grid as well. Like GG to him for getting P3 in qualifying. Amazing from him. But yeah, I'm pretty elated with how today went.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you've come off the back of F1 Esports as well, Luke. You've been working with the Alpine team now, obviously part of Race Clutch as such, and you know you've been obviously helping the team, working through F1 Esports and things of that nature. I mean, how important has it been to compete in league racing this season? Because I know that certainly the Alpine team themselves, they take a lot of pride in league racing competition, and I think they'll be pleased with the results that they saw tonight.
Yeah, league racing's basically the foundation that gets you into F1 Esports in the first place, as well as the practice, like you mentioned. Like, if I hadn't been doing league racing, like since, in fact, this very league and this very track, I think 3 seasons ago in season 29. Yeah, if I hadn't been doing leagues like that, then Race Clutch wouldn't have noticed me. I probably wouldn't even be in this voice chat talking to you right now without league racing. So yeah, it's certainly an important thing to do to get your name out there, to show your reputation, show your worth, really. But yeah, also to bring home a P3. It's not just good for the team, but it's also really good for myself, because it feels like it's kind of almost a relief that what we found in Event 4 in esports was like it worked well for us, because I didn't get to show it in the race. Well, you would have seen it a bit, but it wasn't like as obvious, because on lap 28 there was an incident between me and Alvaro on the penultimate lap, which probably cost us P8 in the constructors as well. But this isn't about esports, this is about PSGL. But yeah, league racing certainly like really important to get to F1 esports for sure, and to help practice for it as well.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, like you so rightly said, it is a peripheral part of what you guys do. Looking ahead, we're moving onwards on 1st of Feb to Austin, Texas for the United States Grand Prix. What are your thoughts heading to a track like that?
Well, in F1 esports it wasn't great for me, but in WR on Sunday I found that I actually have some pretty good pace around there now, which is really reassuring to see. Found some things post-season with the setup, which obviously we wish we found earlier, but yeah, it feels like a really good track for me, so hopefully I can be here next week.
Well, fingers crossed. We'll look forward to seeing you there if you are, mate. Has to be said. A great race from yourself. Superb P3. Well done keeping Jake Benham at bay, and we'll look forward to seeing you at Austin, Texas.
Thank you, man, and GG Barry on the win.
Yeah, thank you, bro.
See that
GG
camaraderie in this live chat. Isn't that brilliant? Great to see. Great to have you here, Luke. Honestly, thank you so much. We've got Barry Burremand as well joining us in the commentary box, as you so rightly would have heard, and he's gone 2 from 2 again this time. This time, of course, being season 32. Of course, the last time was season 28. Barry, it must be a sensational feeling. You've beaten Thomas Ronhaar again, this time on track, and it's happened at Abu Dhabi. No more special, no better place to do it, I would say.
I think last race was on track as well, but yeah, the GG to Thomas and Luke, and then that was an interesting race. You know, I knew like Thomas showed like he was really quick in quali, so I just tried to go with completely different setup to just make it for the race, and it kind of paid off. So yeah, I mean, it was a little bit boring race, but yeah, I mean, I think lap 27, that was so close. I lost the car. It was so close. I genuinely lost like 5 tenths, but yeah, at the end, I'm happy to take the win again.
Well, it definitely feels like that there was a climax building between yourself and Thomas, because obviously you were tracking each other throughout the lap. Either he was leading or you were leading. Then, of course, we had the safety car, and it brought everything closer together, which then, you know, makes life a little bit difficult, because then you're in the midst of a DRS train. But, you know, nevertheless, you two really brought it on the final 2 laps. I mean, how important was it to make sure that you were in front on the penultimate lap, as opposed to the last one?
To be honest, you know, like I was watching, like Thomas had more grip like on the rear of the car for the last sector, and I was like faster in the middle sector. It's just different wings, so I knew, like, because when we went to like lap 27, 28, and then of course safety car ruined our plan, of course, because we had some plans with my teammate Wilson that maybe it could have worked out, and maybe we can even get 1-2. But yeah, safety car was unfortunate for him, but it's still GG to him, nothing he could do. But yeah, lap 27, lap 28, like the tires were absolutely gone. But yeah, I just tried my best, and then yeah, that was really interesting battle. And then yeah, GG to Thomas as well. And yeah, we go next time again.
Yeah, next time is Austin, Texas. And I did ask Luke Smith about this. What are your thoughts heading to the United States? Do you have fond feelings about this circuit of Austin, or is it perhaps not what not one of your top ones, would you say?
Actually, I really do like Austin. It's always been one of my favorite track. So yeah, I'm just, as I said, I'm always saying this, like no expectation, just going there, just to do my best, have fun, and at the end anything happens, that's good.
Well, there you go. Well, we'll look forward to seeing it. Can you go 3 from 3? We'll soon find out, I'm sure, next week. But congratulations, Barry, on a wonderful second win. And we'll look forward to seeing you at United States for the next GP that we have here at PSGL.
Thank you, George and Jack, for commentating. And yeah, hope everyone enjoyed that. Yeah, see ya.
Yeah, see you in a bit, Barry. Take care.
Yeah.
We've got Thomas Ronhaar joining us as well, the second half of that big fight towards the end. Thomas, you almost sought redemption after what happened in Australia, but it wasn't to be this time at Abu Dhabi. But nevertheless, a great fight between yourself and Barry.
Yeah, first of all, GG to Barry. He deserved as always. Yeah, coming back onto the self qualifying, I knew from the get go that I was pretty much gonna get the Q3 quite easily and then have probably the best chance of getting pole. And yes, somehow managed to nearly PB actually on my lap. So I think I went a 10th quicker than the esports pole as well. So it goes to show that my lap was really strong. And yeah, going to the race, I wasn't feeling too confident about the race because I did minimum practice for the race because I didn't have time for it. But yeah, seeing Barry behind me just closing the gap every time, I knew his race speed was going to be probably a bit stronger than mine. Yeah, just throughout stints, we were just dropping and changing positions, and yeah, up until lap 29, nothing really happened apart from just sometimes changing the lead. But yeah, I think the battle we've done on track this evening was yeah, I enjoyed it. Obviously, when I got, I think, not a tiny bit pushed off, obviously in the beginning of sector 3, I wasn't too happy about it, but yeah, I guess that's just hard racing.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, you mentioned obviously it was minimal practice. Looking ahead to United States, will that force you to sort of change the way you approach it? Would you be changing the way you approach the race? You know, changing the practice schedule, changing the routine, or whatever you do? Is that something you do look at, or is it a case that you know, you've got the right vibes, you've got the right things working, it's just a case of doing it on the night?
Yeah, I think the practice itself has been good. I just need to find some more time to be able to put the effort into it. But yeah, I think also in general it's a very good track for me in quali and race. Obviously, me getting pole and get second each was goes to show that it already is a favorite track of mine. But yeah, we'll see. Again, can't really go into predictions, but yeah, gonna be fun for sure. And yeah, round 3, I guess.
Confidence is high for the 1st of Feb then?
Yes, indeed.
Oh, brilliant to hear. Well, thank you for joining us, Thomas. Congratulations on the P2. Unlucky not to get the win, but nevertheless, I'm sure you'll be back.
Thank you very much. And yeah, cheers everyone.
Yeah, cheers, Thomas. Thank you for joining us. Well, at the end of the day, Jack, I suppose, you know, he could take a lot of, I think, pride in knowing that he was, you know, he came back from Australia, I think, in the right vein. It was great to see some on-track fighting between him and Barry. Obviously, the penalty didn't come in between them this time. Of course, as Barry did so rightly say, they were battling right towards the end, but obviously the penalty did take away some of the sting out of that encounter. We saw the two coming together this time. It just felt that perhaps Barry was a little bit more composed for this round.
Yeah, you think so. He's well prepared. Obviously, Thomas has the pace, but again, failing to convert.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I think deciding to go for that move off the safety car restart, that could have been the reason. Simply as simple as. But again, Barry had the advantage with the wings as well, and it was interesting to see the difference in setups as well. Thomas going for more downforce, and Barry going for more top speed. But ultimately, the top speed is what seemed to get him the win. But again, great preparation done by Barry. Great strategy from McLaren. Unfortunate for Wilson, of course, with getting caught up in the double stack in the safety car. I mean, if he didn't do the double stack, he would have lost way more time than what he would have gained. So, in fairness, it's unfortunate for him, but again, still more points. Jake Benham, again, consistently solid. P4 again, and he's still very much in there. But Barry is cementing a hold in this championship. But again, we don't want to speak too soon because this has happened before, and the championship has swung in favour of someone else. But it's Barry 2 from 2.
Yeah, well, naturally, Yada Watme are not here to answer to that on this occasion. So there we have it, folks. But nevertheless, we will be back on the 1st of February at COTA for the next round at Austin, Texas, folks, so do not miss it. Big thank you to all the viewers and everyone at home, the fans of PSGL, for joining us here tonight on what has been certainly a wonderful contest, that last lap battle, certainly giving us lots to look forward to for the rest of the season. Can Barry make it 3 from 3? That is the question on everyone's mind. But of course, I'd like to say a big thank you to you folks for being our top supporters. As I said earlier on, please leave a like and also subscribe to the PSGL channel if you haven't done so already. Not forgetting the social media at PremierSimGL. Those are the places you need to be. Twitter, Instagram, not to mention TikTok as well. You can find us all on there. Make sure you stay tuned in. Also, you can check me out as well at George Morgan TV on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Jack Canan, why don't you share your social if you please?
Absolutely. If you want to find me on Instagram, you can get me at Jack_Canan on Instagram. And if you want to find me on Twitter, it's at JackCComs. 2 C's, guys. Remember the 2 C's.
2 C's, guys. Do not miss it. Well, today it was Barry Burrowman again who would make it 2 from 2. 3 from 3 could be on the cards at Kota, but Ronha certainly looks keen to stop it. We'll see you on the 1st of Feb, folks, when we go racing again in PSGL. Good night. Goodbye.
This broadcast was brought to you by GT Omega, proudly supporting PSGL.